And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of The Kuehl Show. I am your host today, the insider of the insiders, Tyler Kuehl. And ladies and gentlemen, this may be the most tense show we've ever done since we've gone live. We've done Game 7s in the past. However, this one has a little bit of context to it. Winnie the Pooh to my left is ready to go. He's decked out in his Leafs gear. I got my Leafs mug. We got the Death Wish coffee ready to go. We also have someone standing by to talk about this epic game we're going to have later on tonight. But before we get to that, though, we're going to take a quick pause because we have to make sure we thank our sponsors today because we are live here on 12 Ounce Sports. We have so much to talk about here, guys, but we also got to thank our amazing sponsors that have made sure this show is even possible today. MyBookie.ag down there in the corner. Win and get paid on MyBookie.ag. Use the promo code 12 Ounce Sports. Basketball playoffs, NHL playoffs, baseball, everything going on right now. Get on there, mybookie.ag, win and get paid. A lot of people have lost some money on this Leafs series because they thought it was going to go a little bit shorter, but we'll get to that here in just a moment. And of course, as always, up there in the corner, secondstringleather.com, hashtag crafted from the crease, wallets, bathroom bags, coasters, pillows, t-shirts, toques, everything you want made from classic goalie gear that has been revamped from Ray Emery to Mike Smith to Darren Panger's old gear. I just spat, and that's how much Panger's gear, how cool it is. Check it out on secondstringleather.com. Guys, tonight, we'll get to the other series later on. It's okay. Don't worry. We're not going to leave anyone out here. However, this game tonight, Game 7, Leafs and Habs. For the first time since 1964, the Stanley Cup semifinals in 64. I don't know if I've been this nervous for a hockey game since I have stopped playing. However, before I have a panic attack, let's bring on someone that has maybe a little bit more of a clear view on this series and maybe not as crazy, not going to lose his mind like I will. We are now joined gladly here on the show. He is one of the hosts on Wii Sports Chronicles. He is the host of Wii Sports Chronicles. He is also a contributing writer for the Toronto Star. He also writes for ESPN's The Undefeated. He also writes for Sportsnet. He's also written for Golf.com, The Hockey News, USA Today, Raptors Republic, Complex Canada, and any more. He is a man that wears a lot of hats. He is one of the rising names in the sports journalism game. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Lukas Weese. Lucas, how are we doing today?
Tyler, thanks so much for having me. Great show that you guys are doing. Great to hear the sponsors that you have. And it's a real pleasure to be on today to chat about Game 7 Leafs Habs.
Lucas, this is a crazy, it's been a crazy 14 and a half months, to say the least. Yes. Obviously, in Ontario, it's been a little bit, crazy as well. The lockdown's gone a little bit longer than it has here in most of them in the United States. But at least there looks like there's hope now. We'll get to the game here in a second, but let's talk about the big news that came out today. And I mean today. Lisa MacLeod, the Minister of Sport in Ontario, coming out and saying that 550 fully vaccinated frontline workers are going to be at Scotiabank Arena tonight. Now, I know it's not 2,500 like we had at Centre Bell on Saturday night, but 550 people in Toronto. The way this year has gone, the way the last few months have been, Lucas, did you ever think the Leafs would have fans in this calendar year at a hockey game?
Well, if you asked me a year ago, I would say no, that a year later we'd be, a lot of people would be vaccinated in Ontario, that we'd have full capacity stadiums and arenas in the United States. So it certainly moved ahead of schedule. I think in Toronto, it's awesome that 550 fully vaccinated frontline healthcare workers who have really made the ultimate sacrifice throughout the pandemic to keep us safe are able to take in this hockey game. Now, I know some Leafs fans have jokingly said, why do we give these people so much more pain to see their team lose in Game 7? Because that's never really going to happen, many Leafs fans think. But nevertheless, it is awesome that frontline healthcare workers get to take this game in and to be honored for their service in this way.
That right there is, I think, the biggest part in this whole thing is that, with the last week has been a lot of, especially on Saturday in Montreal, that was a part of the opening statement was, thank you so much to all the frontline healthcare workers that made this possible. And the fact that they're only having it be frontline workers, I think, as much as I would love to say, I'm living in Michigan, really can't go across into the border yet, but even folks in Toronto have a lot of friends up there that would love to go to the game, but I'm pretty sure even they get it. It's like, hey, these people deserve it more than we do. And I think that's why the Leafs and, the Ontario government said, okay, let's let these people to go to the game tonight.
For sure. And I know initially there was a rejection in the proposal to have fully vaccinated healthcare workers in the stands. Of course, then people were upset about that decision, and then the decision got overturned to have 550 fully vaccinated healthcare workers in the building. So I think it's fantastic. I think to have 2,500 fans in Montreal taking that Game 6, which was a wild one, and then having some fans, frontline healthcare workers, to take in Game 7. I just think here, at least in Ontario and certain parts of Canada, that we're on the way to having fans back in seats at live sporting events, which is obviously a great sign.
Yeah, I was listening to Hockey Central earlier today on Sportsnet 590. Well, pardon me, I was listening to it on the stream, not actually on a radio, because 590 AM does not reach that far. It doesn't reach 6.5 hours. But I was listening, and Justin Bourne made a good point. He said, this may be the sign, because at that point, when they started the show, the announcement hadn't been made yet, but when it was made, there may not be, knock on wood, I don't know what the Manitoba government is going to do yet. We have to wait to hear. Round 2 starts on Wednesday, whether it be in Winnipeg or Toronto. But there may not be many more games without fans in North America in general, which, like we said, the way these playoffs started, a lot of people were saying, oh, look at PNC Arena in Raleigh and BB&T Center, which is raucous, which no one thought we'd ever say in our lifetimes, but it was. And then we watched Winnipeg, Edmonton, and it's like, it's so quiet. But at least we're heading in that right direction, right, Lucas?
Yeah, I mean, look, still a lot to be determined. I know that in Manitoba, it hasn't been doing so well recently with handling the COVID-19 pandemic. It's been pretty bad there. They've obviously implemented some more stricter restrictions. It's not as doing well as compared to Ontario or Quebec. But I just think having fans back in general, Tyler, it just makes the hockey viewing experience even better. I mean, I know that a lot of fans have sort of been used to now taking in a hockey game in front of their TV with just piping crowd noise. But sure, you get lost in the game, and certainly that was the case for most of this Toronto-Montreal series. But there was just an intensity that just occurred in that Game 6 when they had 2,500 fans there. And it just felt like the fact that it was an elimination game, you heard some crowd noise, and we've seen the images of Florida and Carolina and now Vegas, which announced it's going to have 100% capacity for round 2. So it just makes the hockey viewing experience so much better. And you're just hoping that as society just gets a lot safer and more people get vaccinated, that more fans can be allowed in arenas.
Yeah, I already told my wife the day that they allow the Jays to go back to the Sky Dome, I am paying a lot of unforgivable money to go to the game at the Sky Dome because I've missed it that much. I'm able to go to more Jays games because I have so much broadcasting during the hockey season. I don't get to go to the Leafs as much. So the Jays are at least, a close second for me. But, go back to that point with Game 6. I'll be honest, I teared up during the anthem. I'm not going to lie because it's been so long. What was it, March 20th, 2020, or I forgot the exact date, or March 14th, right? Was that the last time there were fans in Canada at an NHL game?
I think it was March 10th. 10th or 11th is when sports shut down. So maybe a few days prior to that was when the Leafs beat the Tampa Bay Lightning. Yep. That was the last home game with fans until tonight.
Yeah, and I just remember listening to the anthem. I was like, man, this is something, because Lucas, I live in Michigan, born and raised here in the United States. I love Canada. I love Toronto. I love the area. I have a lot of friends up there. I lived in Western Ontario, and it's like if for some reason it just hit differently. And a lot of people on Twitter, of course, were saying that too. It's like this feels right, and I think that's the biggest thing. But going to that Game 6, Right after game 5, Leafs come back from a 3-0 deficit. Everyone thought, all right, this is the exorcism that we get. The Leafs are the ones that are coming back in a game that they can clinch in. Lose in overtime, Nick Suzuki from Cole Caulfield. By the way, Cole Caulfield, best player in college hockey. He's going to be one of the best players in the NHL in 3 years. I'm going to say that right now. But game 6, it was like as soon as the Habs went up 2-0 early in the third period, I said to myself, the Leafs are going to do this again. They're going to come back. They're going to tie this game, and we're going to lose in overtime. And like, is it just the pessimistic or realistic viewpoint as a Leafs fan that I have, Lucas, is that it feels like Groundhog Day. I feel like every single time this happens, Bill Murray is like, and the Leafs have a lead, and they're going to give us hope, and they're going to do it again. Why is that, Lucas? Why do I have that feeling going into this game tonight?
Well, firstly, you have to look at history. I mean, the fact of the matter is the Toronto Maple Leafs haven't won a Stanley Cup since 1967. But they haven't won a playoff series, Tyler, since 2004, 17 years ago, when they beat the Ottawa Senators in Game 7 at home. That was the last time they won a playoff series. So since then, and certainly for a lot of the younger generation that don't remember the glory days of the 1960s or when they made a run in 1993 or 2002, their memories of the Toronto Maple Leafs are blowing a 4-1 lead to Boston in 2013 Game 7, or losing in Game 7 in 2018 and 2019 to Boston, or losing last year to the Columbus Blue Jackets in the Stanley Cup qualifier. So it's the recent history, but I think where this is a lot more painful, like for, if you were to test the temperature of the fan base after Saturday and into Sunday and into the day, a lot of angry fans, and rightfully so, because this has been arguably the best constructed Leafs team going into a playoff series. They were heavy favorites to beat the Montreal Canadiens. And the fact that they were cruising to a 3-1 series lead at home and then just played lethargic to start Game 5 and then flipped the switch to come back only to lose in overtime. And then especially in Game 6, starting out very listlessly before flipping the switch again to come back only to lose in overtime again. I just think that for Leaf fans, they've seen the same movie before. And as much as the players can talk about being confident and embracing the moment entering Game 7, unless you do it, like unless you actually win a Game 7, those are just empty words. So I think, especially this year, because I think in all those other series, the Leafs were the underdog. They were feeding on the gravy to get back to a Game 7 in a lot of those series. This is the first year where they're the clear favorite to win a round. And the fact of the matter is, if they don't, it'll be a colossal disappointment. And it's not hyperbolic for me to say, like, this would be the worst meltdown in franchise history. So that's where we're at right now in Toronto in terms of why so many fans are feeling pessimistic.
It's so crazy. I looked up the stats today. In games where the Leafs can close out the series, which does include the Game 7s against Boston, which, by the way, people forget, in 18 and 13 against Boston, the Leafs were the ones that came back from a 3-1 deficit to force Game 7. But in Game 7s or games when the Leafs had a chance to clinch the series, since 2004, they are 0-7. However, Lucas, the possible optimism we can throw into this whole chicade is the fact that the Leafs in elimination games where they are the team that is on the brink, they're 5-5 since 2004. Now, yes, none of those 5 wins came in Game 7 or when they actually wanted to win the series, but when there's pressure on the Leafs, they're finding a way to get through it. But this is the 4th year in a row, Lucas, that it's a do-or-die game. You mentioned it, Columbus last year. Now, granted, I'll say this. I went into that Game 5, even though the Leafs had that great comeback in Game 4, they had the comeback, and I said to myself, they're going to lose Game 5. And I was right. 2019, I was a little bit apprehensive, like, well, you know what? We had a 3-2 lead, but we're going back to Boston. We've won in Boston. They still lost. 2018, I literally went into that, I'm like, they got this. This is their time to finally exercise their demons, and despite Kasperi Kapanen have the great goal and everything else lead into the third period, it happened again. So it's so tough. But let's jump on it. We talk about how Leafs Nation is in an absolute panic. Everyone's losing their minds. Twitter's Twitter. But let's be honest here. If you're Montreal, win or lose tonight, it's almost, I don't say it's a series win, but you're feeling a lot better going into Game 7 than you would be if you were cheering for the blue and white.
Yeah, Tyler, I mean, I agree with that in part. I think it depends on how they perform in Game 7. Like, I think if they lose and get killed, like, it's a dominating, convincing win for the Leafs. It's like a 4-1, 5-1 win. I think there's still going to be that appetite in the Montreal fan base to part for the organization to part ways with their general manager, Marc Bergevin. Because that was sort of the narrative going into this series, because they limped into the playoffs. They, of course, they have an interim head coach with Dominic Ducharme. Is this going to be the final, straw for Marc Bergevin, the general manager? And it certainly was looking that way, right? Like, again, they won Game 1, but then the Leafs were so convincing Games 2 through 4, it was really looking like that was the case. But now you're absolutely right. Like, Montreal has shown that they have a lot of heart. And it's funny, when you look at the Game 7 record of Montreal since 2010, they're 3-1 in Game 7. So they are very comfortable being the underdog role here. And they're playing with house money. I mean, the fact of the matter is this series should have been over in 5 games, but they've been able to play an opportunistic style of game, pounce on the Leafs when they've made mistakes, most notably in overtime. And they have Carey Price, who's obviously playing like one of the best goalies in the NHL right now. So I agree with you in part, for sure, with Montreal. I mean, they do want to win this just for, to move on and for pride and to be a historic rival. But I also think, too, that if they do end up losing, sure, if it's a heartbreaking loss, I think they would have exceeded expectations. But they obviously want to win to hopefully convince Marc Bergevin that he can stay in his position as GM, given the move that he's made.
Yeah, and of course the big move was Tyler Toffoli. He finally broke through in Game 6 for Montreal, their second goal of the game. Obviously, finally getting Cole Caulfield in the lineup was a big deal. But let's be honest here. This is a Game 7 that I think a lot of people are looking at. They're thinking, I mean, some people from the outside, I'm like, oh my goodness, how could the Leafs be in Game 7 with Montreal? This is a 1-4 matchup. All of us, are Leafs fans or who have followed the game in Canada, this just happens with Montreal. And the reason why, to what you mentioned prior there, Lucas, Carey Price, number 31. He's been sensational. Has a .926 save percentage in this series. Now, yes, it's not as good as Jack Campbell's .937, but let's be honest. Carey Price has had the bigger workload in the first 6 games of this series. And when we had Kyle Bukauskas on 2 weeks ago, he made the best point anyone else could make. The Habs are going to go as far, despite as good as Jake Allen has been during the regular season. The Habs' playoff success rides on number 31, and the reason why they are in this 7th game is because of how Carey Price had to play at the beginning of overtime before the goal by Jesperi Kotkaniemi.
Oh, for sure. And I think that what Carey Price has done is effectively shut down the 2 best players in this series, which is Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner. I mean, they've only combined for 1 goal between the 2. And coming into the series, I mean, Matthews, the Rocket Richard winner, has the most goals in the NHL. Marner is 3rd in points on the team, 5th in the whole NHL. So, like, those are 2 offensive juggernauts, right? And Carey Price has been able to effectively stymie them with his brilliant performance in between the pipes. So I think if you're Montreal, like what they've also done a really good job of in Games 5 and 6 is really start aggressively. And I think that's what Toronto really needs to do tonight in the first 10 minutes or so, is generate more offense in the attacking zone, really put pressure on Carey Price early, because really it's been the end of the game where the Leafs flipped the switch and then it's just too late, right? I know they were out playing them in overtime and all that stuff, but you got to be able to start on time. I know it's cliche, but if you start right at puck drop and being the aggressive team, you can really limit Montreal. So I think that's Toronto's message going into this Game 7 is you get out to an early lead. I don't know if Montreal has the offense to be able to to be able to come back. So that to me is where the Leafs have to do a much better job of starting better, because Montreal has done that in Games 5 and 6.
Yeah, because two of the three Leafs wins in this series were when they scored first, and they are a team that, despite, even though you look at what they've done in years past, this season they have found a way to play with the lead and play with the lead effectively. They don't just give the lead up late like they've done in the last few seasons with this young group. They finally found a way to hunker down, and to that goes with the veteran presence that this roster has. Now, of course, they lost Jacob Muzzin the other night. It looks like a groin injury. They say 3 weeks with him. But I think the crazy thing, Lucas, that we saw this morning, obviously the fans being in attendance, that announcement was huge. But how about John Tavares, the captain, practicing with a regular blue sweater, not a non-contact sweater? He was in the thick of it in morning skate today. Optional skate, but he was there. Do you think that is a motivating factor for the rest of this hockey club to say, all right, he can play here soon. Let's do it for our captain?
I mean, it should be, right? I mean, those, it sounds swell talking to you about that right now, and it certainly sounds motivating. And it should also be motivating that you have those experienced voices in the locker room, like a Jason Spezza or a Joe Thornton, who has actually won a Game 7 in his career. But at the end of the day, you could talk all about that, but the guys just got to perform, right? Like, at the end of the day, the fact that Matthews Marner have only combined for 1 goal in this series, it's just not good enough, just given the money that they're getting paid. And I think that they're due for a big game, but if they don't perform, the noise is going to be loud on those two guys, because, again, they came into this playoff series with a lot of hype given what they did in the regular season. As you fully know, Tyler, it's all about what you do in the playoffs. So they're going to try to find anything they can to be motivated. Sure, it's great to see John Tavares skating, and it's great to hear Sheldon Keefe saying that, the recovery is progressing at a remarkable pace, but this is the opportunity to form legacies, and you got to draw on whatever inspiration you can. And I think it's going to come down to the guys that Kyle Dubas brought into this organization, like a Foligno, a Joe Thornton, a Jason Spezza, who have that veteran experience to try to motivate these younger players who are playing a little bit tight.
Yeah, because let's be honest. I mean, I just watched the 30 for 30 for probably the fourth time on the Four Falls of Buffalo, talking about the Buffalo Bills and their 4 straight Super Bowl losses. And, I almost said to myself, man, the Leafs are like the Buffalo Bills. No, here's the difference, Lucas. And while it is football, you only have to win 1 game to move on to each round, but they at least made it to the championship game 4 years in a row. This team has not won a series with this group. And it's so, and you look at it and I know, and I made the reference for the longest time, the Tampa Bay Lightning, like the 90s Red Wings, they have to go through their losses, and now it's kind of, they've passed that torch on seemingly the Edmonton Oilers, who just got swept by Winnipeg, of course. But now it's like, are the Leafs in that same boat where they have to learn to win and have to go through heartache? But the question is, Lucas, how much heartache before someone flips a switch and says, all right, we need to go in a different direction with this hockey club?
Well, let's be honest. I think that if they lose Game 7, the overwhelming noise is going to be very loud to make a sudden change. Because, again, right, the core that you have hasn't been able to win a playoff series, like you said. But I also look back to the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Washington Capitals, who, like, if you look at the Washington Capitals, before they won their Stanley Cup in 2018, they went through heartbreaking losses, but didn't break up the core guys. Like Alexander Ovechkin never got traded. Nick Backstrom never got traded. They made some moves, yes, and finally got it done. But the management seemed to bet on their core players. Same with the Pittsburgh Penguins, not getting rid of Sidney Crosby, not getting rid of Geno Malkin, and then they end up winning back-to-back Stanley Cups. I wrote a Twitter thread earlier today just about this game and whatnot. And I think it's just interesting because the fact of the matter is, because again, most Leaf Nation right now, they're feeling pessimistic because they think they've seen the same movie before. But there is an opportunity to flip the script and rewrite a new chapter in this franchise's history. And I pointed to two examples. I mean, you look at the Boston Red Sox, Tyler. They hadn't won a World Series since the early 1900s, the curse of the Bambino. And think of their heartbreaking losses to the Cincinnati Reds in 1975. Billy Buckner in the 86 World Series, Aaron Boone in the 2003 LCS. And they were able to finally get it done in 2004 to win the World Series. Same with the Chicago Cubs, having not won a World Series in 108 years.
Hadn't been to a World Series since like 70 years or whatever it was.
Exactly. So they finally were able to get over the Steve Bartman incident and just, not getting to the World Series, and they were finally able to get it done. So as much as there is pessimism, and I totally understand that, these are the moments that why we love sports is the do or die situation to really rewrite the history narrative about the Leafs, to really, create a legacy for yourself, because eventually these are the moments that you might remember in pursuit of winning a championship, the heartache and just the heartbreak and the journey that fans go on to get to this point. So look, I mean, it's a struggle for the Toronto Maple Leafs. It hasn't been done, and I think this is the big hurdle here. But if they are able to get over this hurdle, I really believe you're going to see a new Leafs team. But again, you got to be able to win a hockey game, and they haven't been able to do it yet, but we'll see after tonight.
It is one game. That's all it is. It's 60, probably more minutes. Let's be honest, the way the latest part of the series has gone. However, the only thing that both the fan bases can take into account, whoever wins this game, at least according to recent history, whoever wins this playoff series is going to win the Stanley Cup, because that's how it has always been. Now, granted, yes, when the last time Montreal and Toronto played, that was when during the Kenny Dryden, Larry Robinson, Guy Lafleur era, and the last time the Leafs won, there were only 6 teams in the National Hockey League, and they had a great goaltending duo named Johnny Bower and Terry Sawchuk, were with a combined age of 103 years old. But, Lucas, thank you so much for coming on. You've definitely eased my pain, because all day I've been nervous. I think the last time I was this nervous for a game with the Leafs was probably back in 2017, that second to last game against Pittsburgh where the Leafs clinched, because I'm like, the Leafs got to do it this year, right? And they did, thankfully. So maybe deja vu will happen here. But of course, folks, we got to make sure we let you know that Lucas is also going crazy. He's not going crazy like I'm yelling and screaming. He's going crazy with all the amount of awesome work that he does. Make sure you follow him on Twitter. That's where you can get that awesome Twitter thread he just mentioned, @Weese Sports. If you don't know how to spell Lukas Weese, look at the screen, guys. It says Weese right there. Also, be sure to check out his podcast that he has, Weese Sports Chronicles. He puts up new episodes every Thursday. So as soon as you're done watching the Thursday edition of the Kula Show from 6 to 7 here on 12 Ounce Sports, you can go check out his latest show there on Weese Sports Chronicles. And, of course, all the writing that he does. Toronto Star, Sportsnet, we mentioned USA Today bylines, all the awesome stuff. Lucas, thank you so much for taking the time today. Enjoy Game 7 tonight. And, look at Twitter with a grain of salt is, I guess, the best way we can put it, right?
For sure. It's going to be historic, and I'm excited to have chatted with you, Tyler, and looking forward to it. Thanks so much for having me on the show.
All right, Lucas, take care, okay? And that was Lucas.
Likewise.
That was Lukas Weese from Weese Sports Chronicles talking about Game 7 tonight. We will be in studio for the first hour and a half for 6 to 8:30 time slot here on 12 Ounce Sports. I don't think we're going to do the full live stream like I thought I was going to do, we thought we were going to do with tonight. But then again, the night is young. We'll see how it goes. We'll take a quick break, folks. When we come back, we'll look at the rest of the playoff series before we turn on Game 7 here in studio tonight. You are watching The Kula Show here on 12 Ounce Sports. And welcome back. What?
Hi.
Welcome back to the... What are you doing? Who are you? Who are you?
Gun show's back in town.
Boom! Welcome back to the Kuehl Show, everybody. For those that are listening on the podcast forum, Alex Kuehl is actually on the program.
That's right.
This
everyone.
is not...
You thought you were getting rid of me for good. No, I'm like a plague. I'll get in there like swimwear. Oh, yeah. You can never get rid of the marshmallow man, right? Oh, yeah.
Alex is back. I can't believe it, guys. This is insane. Well, okay.
Not only am I back, Ty, but I am back in studio. None of this remote stuff. Not on the phone. I am a guest of the show still.
You are a guest of the show.
Which means I do not have responsibility, and I can screw off as much as I want.
Well, that's the worst part in all this, simply because the fact that usually it's the other way around, and I don't know how I'm supposed to do this, because usually when you're in here, I can goof off. Now I still have to be serious.
Now you have to be with a responsible one.
This is Bush League.
If this podcast was the 31 Thoughts podcast, you would not only be Jeff Merrick, you would also be Amel, and I would be Elliot Friedman, because recently they did like the CarCast thing where
they started
he did it
doing
on
this,
the
yeah.
phone.
Yeah.
But no, yeah. Hi. How you doing?
Should we join the bar down live chat on Twitter and see if we can get in it? They're doing like you've seen so on Twitter, Alex. I mentioned it with Tate Harris when I had him on.
Sure.
It's one of those. It's like a massive like public space. It's I forget what it's. But it's like.
Is there a video attached to it?
No, it's all just like talking. Like people are.
So
on
it's a forum.
Yeah, it's like a.
It's a live forum.
It's a live forum. I did.
Yeah,
a couple
I saw
with Tate Harris
that. I saw that Twitter integrated that, and a lot of people are using it. Honestly, it's a great thing.
What's the thing that only Apple has? It's It's the first thing. It's like chicken coop or something. I forget what it's called. There's
just Apple.
They just opened up not too long ago.
I couldn't tell you.
But anyways,
I'm not hip hip with the kids as I used to be.
So we're about 20 minutes away from total Bush League. Dad's already in the chat. Oh boy. finds out Alex is on the show. Oh boy. But so 20 minutes time, game 7. We will be in studio for the first 90 minutes of it with the time here on 12 Ounce Sports. I don't think we're going to do the full game because I thought about it, but I'm like, listen, because I'm superstitious, Alex. But now that you're here,
you're super duperstitious.
I can't be superstitious now that you're here.
Well, no, because I'll call you out on it.
Well, okay, so let's give some backstory here.
Backstory, okay.
2013 was an anomaly. That series that probably should never have happened, and a deficit that should never have been overcome.
Okay. 2017
comes around. I wasn't living with Alex, so it didn't really matter. We lost.
No, you were up in Lucknow at that time.
No, I was back. I was back in Lucknow. That was my season. I retired. So I was back to watch the playoffs. Tyler Burke ruined that because he was
no, but you were up there, weren't? No,
I was during that season, but the playoffs in the series against Washington, I was back home. And Tyler Burke ruined it because he was not in a single game, and all of a sudden he comes in during Game 6 in overtime.
That's right. Yeah, you're down with the boys.
And Marcus Johansson scores the game winner.
At the apartments. Yep.
So 2018 comes around, the second series against Boston. The only person I'd watched any of the series with at home at Nana's was Kelly. Alex wants to watch Game 7 with me. Mm-hmm. In many words, I told him to go take a hike. Mm-hmm. Didn't go so well.
No.
Leafs still lost.
Correct, Mundo Senorito.
2019 comes around. I said, you know what? We're not going to do this again. Alex, let's watch the game together.
Okay.
I ended up throwing up on the floor in the bedroom.
Yes, you did.
Because apparently, kids, 15 beers followed up by 2 screwdrivers is not a good way to treat your stomach.
And see, Ty, that is why you have your own garbage bin that has the TJK and the Maple Leaf on there.
It's right over there.
One of many reasons why you have that.
Well, thank you, Jenna and Cookie, for that Christmas gift. They also gave me SoCo that year. I didn't even need. It's funny. They gave me SoCo thinking that was going to happen that night. They were going to christen it. No, held it. Very weird, especially SoCo.
See, I've never really been a fan of Southern Comfort.
No, it sucks. But that's why they got it for me because they wanted me to.
It's not that it's terrible; it's just not great
compared to other cheap whiskeys you could get. Yes,
it's the type of whiskey that you make like a hot toddy with, or like a batch cocktail with.
You make it's like your Azteca with your tequila. You want to make margaritas, you use the crap stuff.
No.
What you're gonna use? You're gonna use Hornitos. You're gonna waste good Hornitos.
Just don't use tequila. Period.
On margaritas, you're supposed to use margarita. Oh,
no.
Anyways,
rum margaritas.
Yeah.
Rum margaritas every time, delicious.
Or rum sangria like we did for your graduation celebration. That was actually really good. Big fan of sangria.
Rum's just good.
So yes, folks, when the game comes on, Dad's saying go Habs. So Dad, you can take a hike. But when the game is on, we're gonna be having beer because I need to have beer during a hockey game because Alex has water right now. That is water, right?
Well, this is.
It's a big old glass.
I told you like rum.
Are we out of our Deer Camp vodka from Northern Latitudes? That's Hornitos is cheap, Dad. That's why we get it because you know what? It's cheaper than Patron.
At least it's not Wabo Cabo or Cabo Wabo.
Hey, that stuff is good. I won't let anyone tell me different. It is more expensive though.
It is
But
very expensive.
Very expensive.
Ridiculous. But
Well, Sammy Hagar's not making any money on music.
back to the task at hand here.
So let's talk about the other game that's going to happen. Actually, no. Do we want to go over games? Since you're here, Alex, let's go over one of the games that happened yesterday.
Yes.
Game 1, Tampa, Carolina.
Before we get to this,
Or do we want to? Yes.
I do want to. So
Well, hold on. Now let me set the stage here because I know you're about to talk about, and we'll get to it. So for those that don't know,
it relates to Tampa though.
No, Tampa Bay for the longest time has been during the playoffs, especially. This was made very public and very, I guess, infamous and popular when the Wings and the Lightning had those couple playoff series in the late run there for the Leafs, or the Wings during their 25-year run.
Sure.
Was it 16 and 15?
16 and 15.
Yep.
Yes.
So it was
Both
made
respectively. Disrespectively rather.
because the Bolts won both of those series.
Yeah.
But that was the thing. But Tampa Bay said, if you are wearing someone else's sweater, you're not allowed in the building. And this got highlighted recently. Now, this is not because of the fact that Tampa forgot what it's been like to make the playoffs. The last time they missed the playoffs was 2017, where they missed by literally a point. But the series against Florida, which we thought was nasty on the ice, Alex, turned nasty in the crowd. That's something we haven't touched on yet here on the show, mainly because we only had a couple hour shows last week, and we've been very busy talking about the games. But let's get to the story here that happened at Amalie. I don't know which game it was, but it was involving a couple of Panther fans.
Right. Yes. So I believe it was because it was Tampa hosted game 1 and 2.
No, Florida did.
Or Florida did. So it was game 3 then. It was the first game between the Panthers and the Lightning in Amalie for round 1. This is in
Alex's T-Boss, by the way, is in the conversation. He says El Jimedor. That's actually
I told him that I was going to be on the show.
Oh, okay.
And you know I told him that I was going to be talking specifically about this story because I actually mentioned
I thought he was about to say you knew you were going to talk about tequila on the show. I'm going to say, how ready for Game 7 are you?
Well, you know what? No.
Well, you know what you're saying.
Oh, I told him that really quickly about this story, and I told him I was going to talk to him about it, and he's like, okay, great. You know, where can I watch it? And I told him where to watch it.
12 Ounce Sports on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Zingo TV, channel 761. Use promo code 12 Ounce. 12 Ounce.
Promo, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was game 3 between the Lightning and the Panthers, and it was in the Panthers, so their respective, like, if the side that they defend for periods 1 and 3.
Yep.
Down in the corner, and it was this gentleman and his 11-year-old son.
His child.
Yep. So them two, they both were just sitting there. They were both wearing, the gentleman was wearing a Florida Panthers shirt, and the kid was wearing a Florida Panthers jersey. Now, you mentioned that they do that the Lightning and quote-unquote Amalie Arena has a facility policy regarding playoffs, sports, and not wearing another team's uniform.
Yep.
So, situation goes that because I know Tyler, he's a little bit older than I. I have TikTok. I watch TikTok, and this popped up literally on my For You page as I was about to start heading out this way.
I think I saw it via TikTok.
And leaving it.
I think the TikTok video got onto my Twitter feed. That's how I saw it. But yeah, to your point.
Right. And so I saw, it was the one that showed up on my page was part 2, and then I went back and watched part 1. 2 representatives from the Maple Leafs not the Maple Leafs organization.
How dare
I know you? This is Maple.
They wear blue and white. Their sweaters.
I'm thinking about Game 7, whatever.
Listen, 2012 was a long time ago. The sweaters are different.
The Tampa Bay Lightning organization, 2 representatives, which I cannot say whether or not they were tickets people or if they were, sales, promotions, whatever. They were both wearing, I would say, blazers, that kind of thing, that kind of outfit. And
they were the uppities.
Uppy's not good for. They were in some sort of way administrative, maybe supervisors, that kind of stuff. They approached the man saying that, basically, sir, they were being very confrontational about it. So you have two options. Either you can take off the stuff and go buy either regular T-shirts, or since you're in the arena, you can buy Tampa Bay merchandise.
Or which is like one shirt's like $35, a jersey's like $75.
Right,
no, it's like $150. Excuse me.
So since you're at the arena as well, or we can refund you for your tickets and you can get the heck out.
You almost said that.
I almost did, but I have to remember that I'm on the show.
You are on a child's program that's going to have alcohol involved in it.
I have to remember. But no. So, and these are tickets that, the guy says in the video, it was in part 2 of the video that he said it, because TikToks are so short, that they paid, over $300 per seat. So this guy and his son, well, the guy probably paid for both tickets himself, over $600 to watch his team. Now, this is an 11-year-old kid.
And yes, kids, that is a Panthers fan, one of the
favorite in his favorite team's jersey, about to watch his favorite team. Now, Tyler, we are in Grand Rapids here. The local team is the Grand Rapids Griffins. How many games have we went to where either we rooted for the Marlies and we were wearing Marley stuff or Toronto Maple Leaf stuff, or we went and we, like the one time where we went with Dad, where we were both wearing
the Moose shirts,
Manitoba Moose shirts.
Still love that shirt.
How many times have we done that?
Well, we also forgot the Hamilton Bulldogs game, the Dustin Tokart game.
You did wear the Montreal Canadiens jersey.
And you wore a Canada jersey for that. Well,
the sweater, yes.
The sweater. There was also the game after the Canadians beat the U.S. in the 2014 Olympics. Went to the Griffins game that night wearing Canada swag and got booed out of the building.
And beer on us.
No, I thought that was the Leafs game.
Actually, no, I was thinking of the Montreal one. We also got beer thrown at us that time.
I got hit by popcorn in that one.
I got the beer. But like how you would say, handful of times, couple dozen.
I never did the Oilers one because Oklahoma City Barons just seemed too far for the Griffins.
It was too big of a stretch
for the Griffins fans to understand. But anyways, yes.
My point is this: it doesn't matter if it's regular season or the playoffs, preseason, whatever. You should be allowed to wear your respective team's jersey. Hell, when I was working for the Whitecaps, do you know how many times people just showed up in whatever baseball jersey they had at home? Because most of the time,
Blue Jays!
Most of the time, when you go to a Whitecaps game, you have a lot of people that wear Detroit Tiger stuff because they're the single A now, or no,
they're always single A, but now they're high A.
They're high A. They got bumped up. Farm team of the Detroit Tigers. So it makes sense that if you're rooting for the Whitecaps, you're rooting for Tigers players. But people would show up with Cardinals jerseys, LA Dodgers. They would wear. I've honestly seen people wearing just like they wore just a football jersey, not even like a high school. They just wore a football jersey just cause.
They wear something. It's a sporting event.
If it's not bothering nobody, you wear whatever you want. And the guy says in there, and I'm paraphrasing, but these are like very much like the kind of words he says. Well, according to your policy, I can come up here in a shirt that has a swastika on it. Why can't I wear a T-shirt that has Hitler's faces on it? That's not in your policy, but I can't wear a Panthers shirt? That doesn't make sense to me. And I know using that kind of stuff, obviously he was using very extreme examples to try to get his point across.
Exactly.
And I will say this, with those two representatives, there was the male and there was a male and female representative. The female was being a lot more confrontational. The male was trying to be a little bit more, conscientious of the situation. The fact that there was a child, he actually at the beginning of part 1 of the video, he tried to say, I don't really want to do this in front of your kid. Can we go to the concourse really quick?
I don't want to do this.
Don't want to like either embarrass the man in front of his child, make him scared. And the guy said too, it's like, no, you already scared my child. Like, what? Why can't we wear these? Why can't we wear our team stuff? And for one, this is an NHL organization that prides itself on having inclusion not only within the community, with whether it be just the different classes. So like inner city where it's more lower income, or the kind of like the suburbs where it's like mid to higher, that kind of stuff, doing more integration with that and making sure that everyone's involved, whether it's racial equality, whether it's gender equality, whether, LGBT stuff like Pride Night, that kind of stuff. All of that goes into what nowadays is expected of every single NHL organization, regardless, is inclusion. That should include your away fans.
Yeah.
Because one thing, yes, the Tampa Bay organization is it's successful. They
Right.
make a lot of money. Their team's doing well, and they're expected to go far in the playoffs.
Yes.
But if you're a team like Detroit, it doesn't matter to you when you're selling tickets if you have a lot of blue when the Maple Leafs come into town, or if you have
we both
a lot of
experienced that.
black or whatever when the Senators come into town or whatever, or if you have people that just come out to watch the Stars, because that's another part of selling tickets.
The superstars, not the Dallas Stars.
Well,
Not gonna
right.
make that trip.
If you're not a very great team, or even if you're just that there's a superstar coming to town like Connor McDavid, people will come out to watch a hockey game just because Connor McDavid's in it. Because at this time, I don't care what anybody says, regardless of what team he's on, he is the greatest hockey player in the game right now, period. I don't care what league you play for. I don't care what country you're from. He is the best. Bar none, stats included, best player.
Well,
I
yeah.
would go out to watch a hockey game just to watch Connor McDavid if the price point was right. So just because I'm not wearing the same sweater as you, just because I'm not wearing a T-shirt that doesn't have any sort of, against the home team kind of thing, even like a plaid shirt, what difference does it make? I paid for my ticket. I want to enjoy the game. Leave me alone.
It's like
Now, with that in mind, both the Florida Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning were tagged in both of those TikToks. And as far as I've heard, because I looked into it while I was on my way here, which by the way, don't go on your phones while you're driving. It's not very smart. I do it sometimes, but
don't say that out loud, you
even
dingus.
though you shouldn't do it.
Don't be a dingus like Alex.
For one, it's against the law, and two, it's just come on, don't do it.
I thought you were
It's
you were
dangerous.
texting me when you were in line at Panda Express.
I did.
Oh, okay.
When I was texting you, I did that.
Okay.
So regarding the situation, neither organization has released any sort of public statement. There's not been a different video that says that someone has reached out to them at all. As far as I know, nobody's doing nothing, and that's a double negative, which means
no. Nobody's doing anything. If
No, I'm saying
nobody's doing nothing.
nobody's doing nothing. That's
that
a
means-
double negative.
Which means someone's doing something.
well,
that's-
someone should be doing something.
So you're saying no one's doing anything?
No one is doing anything right now, and I think it needs to become a league-wide issue, because when we went to those games, obviously it was a minor league.
No,
hockey
when we went
game.
to LCA on our separate times, we both wore Leaf stuff.
Yeah, you wore a Ducks jersey to the.
I wore a
one game.
Ducks jersey with the old Mighty Ducks logo.
And even with the Ducks jersey at Little Caesars Arena, he still got a voucher for a free slice of pizza.
I still got my free pizza.
Exactly.
And I bought beer. Now, they probably lied about the beer price to me, but that's neither here nor there.
When you go to another team's barn, or even if you live in the city and you wear the other team's jersey, yes, you're going to expect a little bit of flack from the fans, but not the organization, not the actual facility itself. The fact that there's an allowed thing right now that the Tampa Bay Lightning can just not allow people to root for the other team is absolute bush league. It's terrible. It's a disgrace to the game. If you have two teams on the ice, you should have two groups of people rooting for those teams. You don't go to Manchester United games and not be able to root for Manchester City, even if they hate each
I
other.
was about to say, you ever seen the movie Green Street Hooligans, Alex? they don't make it very friendly.
Barcelona versus Real Madrid. A rivalry where
I would never go to New Camp. I want to go to New Camp, but
rivalry where literally in the streets, whether it's at Real Madrid or it's at Barcelona, people get stabbed. Both teams and their fans are allowed to be there. Their fans are allowed to cheer their team regardless of where they're at.
at their own risk, obviously.
At their own risk.
But
They don't get thrown out. They don't get all this stuff. And that's why you should root for the Carolina Hurricanes, because they are inclusive.
going forward,
They don't care.
I want you.
You wanna make
cheer for
noise?
the Carolina Hurricanes.
Carolina Hurricanes, all they care about, do you make noise? Great. Get in the building. We want to be louder. We want to be louder than everybody else. That's our thing.
So the two things I have
Take
on this,
warning.
Alex. They don't. That's not their thing anymore. I mean, sorry, that's not their main hashtag. Alex said they're going to kick you out for not wearing a lightning bolt. Yep.
You know what? I don't care.
But
Lightning bolt.
it's funny because Tampa. I think Tampa's. It's got.
Kick me out then. I'll go kicking and screaming.
It's almost like a little man complex. By that I mean, like, don't forget, the majority of the Tampa fans, and similar to Nashville, which I'll make here in a second, are snowbirds. That's the reason why they have a fan base, because all the people.
No, I don't buy that.
I
don't buy it.
A lot of hockey fans that moved down there were like, "Oh, we have a team now to watch." That's why the basis of hockey in Florida was like,
At
"Hey."
the beginning, sure,
I'm saying, but
now,
the fans,
nowadays, it's part of the culture.
Yeah, because the team has actually been good for a long enough period of time. Now, the thing is that. Oh, it's just mom texting me. She said she loves the show.
No, I'm reading the chat right now. Keep going.
But the other thing is, because remember, Alex, we talked when we had Pete Weber on. Great interview, by the way. Too bad his season's over. It kind of stinks. But when we talked with Pete, one of the things he told us the story about early on in the early days of the Nashville Predators, and Alex T-Boss knows about this as well, when there were more Wings fans going to Nashville games for the longest time. So one night, what did they do? If you wanted to, you could give up your Red Wing stuff for free Nashville swag.
Yeah.
And remember what Pete Weber did with that? Brought it up to the Boys and Girls Club next time they went up to Detroit. Remember that story?
Yeah.
That was a great.
Yeah, that was honestly one of the best stories that we've had from a guest, or at least the ones that I've personally experienced.
That was a pretty good one. Well, I still think the oh, good Lord.
Come on, spit it out.
Oh my gosh, NHL, help me out here.
Hockey,
No.
Red Wings.
No,
Guest. Philly.
Oh, James Cebulski. Thank you, Siebel. When we had him on, when he talked about the time when he found out how COVID was happening, Forrest Gump's gonna die. That's still one of my favorites. Anyways, but no, to that point, yeah, it's such a dumb thing. At first, it was kind of cute, but then it was like when you're really going up to someone in the crowd, tell them to take their stuff off or get the hell out. That's Bush League. That is Bush League. The Church League softball fist fight, Alex. Someone's going to get knocked their lights out. And it's dumb. I like the fact that you say, "Oh, you should definitely wear hopes." Okay, whatever. But if you're going to tell someone and their son to kick rocks, like, you should be the one kicking rocks.
Right. If you're so concerned about, like, in one way or another, I don't want to blow this completely out of proportion, but it's in a way some sort of discrimination. It's discrimination against fans of another team.
Because you're not letting them wear their stuff, yeah.
And it's not like it's ridiculous, like it's a hate crime or anything.
It's just it's so trivial. It's so trivial.
It's at the point where, why does it matter?
The Bavarianism of this.
It's not like
that is an actual word.
Like the guy said in the video. It's not like he's wearing a swastika straight up on his chest. Like, come on. He's wearing a hockey jersey for one of the teams that's on the ice.
Yeah.
That'd be like even if we went to
if you went
to a Nashville game and the Nashville Predators were playing the Toronto Maple Leafs,
and I wore a New York Rangers sweater,
and Joe Thornton was on the ice, and you wore a Hockey Canada jersey that had Joe Thornton's name on the back.
Well, that makes sense. Well, that makes sense because that's an actual.
So does the Florida Panthers thing.
What I'm saying is,
you get my point.
I get your point.
It should not matter that the guy's wearing the away team's jersey. I mean, come on, man.
What is this, Monday Night Football? Come on, man.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
Do you see the thing that they do now for the they do it now for NASCAR? It's throw it out. It's pretty much them yelling about the it's like there's a big wreck. They throw it out the yellow. It's something they try to do. Anyways, we're going to take a quick break.
NASCAR's trying to do so much to keep people interested.
Make a turn. They had Jay Leno on in the broadcast for a little bit yesterday.
Okay, but Jay Leno loves cars.
He loves cars. That's why it works.
That makes sense.
But what we're going to do right now, folks, we're going to take a quick break because we're going to get settled in.
Yeah, we are.
Because in just moments, we'll talk about the other series while it's going on, but we're just moments away from Game 7. Montreal, Toronto. Don in the studio, getting ready to go. Beautiful skyline there in downtown Toronto. The dome is closed, but guess what? Doesn't matter. That's
the dome is closed, but the guns are out. Boom, baby!
We'll be back with more of the Kuehl Show here on 12 Ounce Sports. Yeah, Alex, where are your ears? People kind of...
They're on my side of my head.
They're on the side of your head. Welcome back to the Kuehl Show, everyone.
L'chaim.
We're Jewish now? I did not know that was a thing. So Tyler and Alex Kuehl. Alex jumping in today because I asked him to suffer with me today. And like I said, this is going to be the most unprofessional part of the show because we got beer and Chinese because we both haven't had dinner yet. And, at this point...
because we're American. I mean, so that's why we have to have Mexican beer. We have to have Asian food.
We are multicultural. We got
and-
Canadian beer, we have Chinese food, Mexican beer, and water, which is from Michigan.
And Canadian hockey on United States Broadcasting.
Yep, because we can't do that. And I should have turned it on. I should have found Nick Cage because I at least wanted to watch the intro because I love watching the Hockey Night Canada intro. You want to cheek in just a little bit there, Alex? You're like off.
Cheek in. No, I'm good.
Okay.
I look like I'm good.
You're off center just a little bit. Okay.
Who cares?
Anyways,
I slouch anyway. I'll fit in.
let's see how these noodles are.
Yeah, I got the udon noodles.
I'm a noodle guy.
See,
If you're in the chat right now, jump in. Are you noodle or rice? Alex got the rice.
no. Okay, here's the thing though. As far as
This must be so miserable
as
for the
far
podcast
as
form of the show, by the way.
who cares?
Who listens to us anyways? Everyone watches us on 12 Ounce Sports.
Who cares? No. As far as food is as far as like Chinese sides goes, are you either a lo mein
We want lo mein.
or / chow mein, any sort of like noodle?
Are you Ming?
B,
Are you insane? The
do you
Ming
like
ring?
fried rice on the side? Or C, do you keep it classic and you rock the white rice? That's the real question.
Well,
Because I've talked this over with my missus, and she is very much
Mrs. Since when? It's Miss.
my Ms.
Your Ms.
My Miz.
It's not yet.
My Ms.
Should we turn it on? Should we turn on the sound and like stop for Martina?
No.
No.
Well, for one,
Here,
we're not in the build. I am a firm believer of we're not in the building, so I'm not going to stand for
All
the
right,
anthem.
so I'm going to turn off the TV then because I feel obligated whenever I see Martina come on the screen. I have to stand up and belt out that high note.
Okay.
And cry while I'm doing it.
Okay.
You were there. You were there for that once.
Yeah, you always cry for the Canadian national anthem.
I cried Saturday when there was because
Every time.
Well, it was 2,500. Like that's the first time we've heard fans sing it, and that's when I was talking with Lukas Weese earlier to start off the show.
Weese. I thought you said Ease.
Well, Lukas Weese, that was a great interview. Lucas, very smart guy, by the way. At Weese Sports, by the way. Like I said, at Weese, Weese Sports. Follow him on there. He always has great stuff. And so, but anyways, so that's what we talked about was like the fact that there was fans singing it. Like we've heard Martina sing it. We've heard a lot of people sing it.
Ryan Reeves banned 2
Ooh.
games for roughing / unsportsmanlike conduct versus Avalanche.
That breaking news: Ryan Reeves suspended. Hey, I just saw that too. So
Yeah,
Ryan
you're
Reeves suspended 2 games for. So that's the first series we'll jump in here while we're watching the game. I'm waiting until the end.
Whoa, we were talking about the Canes.
Well, we have news though. We have news. We got breaking news.
Okay, fair.
Hence why we're live on 12 Ounce Sports.
7-1. I watched that in Planet Fitness. Yikes.
So Ryan Reeves, let's talk about that first.
'Kay.
Decides to go off. At this point, Vegas getting manhandled. We'll go into why here in a moment. Cross-checks Grubauer in the back of the head. And then for some reason, Ryan Grace, last year's plus-minus leader as a rookie, decided, unfortunately, Reeves like, you know what? You. And I know there's always this talk about the code. I didn't get to see Kevin BX's reaction to it yet. Unfortunately, that's the one problem with living. That's the wrong one, Alex. I'm number 2. You're number 1. Thank you very much. Just turn off my sound. Alex, I'm the other one here. Anyways, I haven't heard BX because Kevin BX seems to be right now, at least on Hockey Night Canada Sportsnet's broadcast, he is the voice of the code on the show. This obviously came to, especially with Tom Wilson. That was a big thing there. Oh boy, we got foam coming up. Oh, I saw foam coming up on Alex's beer. You see it down there in the corner. Got a little worried there.
That's fine.
He goes off on him. He roughs him, and they got a 9-minute power play out of that to Colorado. Now they didn't run up the score because at that point the game was over. They did get 1.
At that point, it was 6-1.
Yes, and he got 2 minutes for roughing, 2 minutes for unsportsmanlike, 5-minute major for intent or for roughing, a 5-minute major for roughing, and kicked out of the game for intent to injure.
Game is
Or no, he got 2 minutes for roughing. Also, 2 for roughing, 2 for cross checking on Grubauer, 5 minutes for losing his mind, and a game misconduct. And now he's got 2 games out of it.
Yes.
And with that, we should also mention Nazem Kadri's appeal for his 8-game suspension is upheld by the National Hockey League, but he's going to go to an independent contractor, which is allowed by the league. So that story is still ongoing.
Arbitrator.
I thought it was a contract. Independent arbitrator to discuss his suspension. So, like I said, there's that. And
A third party.
I agree with the suspension.
Independent
And
third
I still
party.
agree with that suspension. It's just the fact that there are other people that have done stupid stuff.
Well, Ty, I'll say it this way. It's Nazem Kadri. It's the playoffs.
So you should only get 1 game, that is what you're saying.
No, I'm saying
If we get into the whole thing about consistently getting
It's
suspended.
an ongoing thing. With the
I'm
whole,
glad you have missed a lot of this season because the NHL Department of Player Safety and I will never get along.
I know you won't. And honestly, I think the whole, like, the terms and, like, the verbiage behind it, as far as, reputation and that kind of stuff, I think it's flawed. Because honestly, and I think that's a reason why you have players like Tom Wilson who go and they don't get as much as you think they should. They don't get the punishment that we as hockey fans or we as Leafs fans or Washington fans or whoever gets the butt end of the stick, literally sometimes and mostly metaphorically, think that a player like that should get.
Yeah.
But I think also, especially in the Kadri case, it was more of a reputation thing. Because if we're basing it off of the verbiage, there is wiggle room when regarding playoff play. Because it's a certain number of games, is it not? Or is it?
Well, there's like they consider it like a heavier penalty when you get into playoff games. But the thing is that Ryan Reeves is also a previous offender. That's why I think that people are wondering why is it only 2 games. Now, granted, I don't want to get into the similarities between that and what Tom Wilson did to Artemi Panarin and Pavel Buchnevich, but he roughed up a couple of guys that didn't need to be roughed up. And Ryan Reeves gets 2. Wilson, you want to hand us your lunch money? Like, that's all it really was. Let's be honest. It's $50 compared to, like, I think that was the story. It's like $50 American of what he had to pay.
$56.
$56. I think it was like 66 something, 67.
Compared to the average American salary versus Tom Wilson's salary as a Washington Capital, his fine would have been equivalent to $56 American pre-tax.
Yeah, it's kind of dumb. But anyways, back to the game. Yeah, Vegas. Well, don't forget, guys, they only had one day off before they had to play on Sunday. They play Game 7 Friday night. Very emotional game. They get a big win over Minnesota. Unfortunately, the Wild didn't pull it out, even though I really went into that game thinking to myself, I'm like, man, it'd be nice, but for some reason, I just didn't feel like that was going to be the Wild's time to do it. Out of all the times they've done it in the past, twice to Colorado, they've always made it interesting against, like, Chicago and Dallas back in 2016.
But even then, you kind of looked at all of those teams, like the 2016 team with Mika Koivu and all that, and just
I think Dubnyk was the goaltender that time.
Every single time you looked at it and you're like, wow, that's an upset. So it was interesting because it wasn't supposed to happen. And Minnesota's just been one of those franchises where they've always been just outside of it. And they've never had enough gas to make it deep, nor have they had the kind of like, all right, we're completely out of it, let's rebuild. Nor have they had the money to rebuild.
Right. Or they at least
because I mean, also think about it too, is people ask the question, why has it been so hard for teams like Winnipeg to build up great teams? And why has it been so hard for Winnipeg to get
Jacob Trouba wanted to live with his girlfriend
to sign
in the
players?
States.
Why has it been so difficult to sign players, like UFAs, that kind of stuff, when they're on the hunt, that kind of thing? Why is it so hard to keep certain players? What's holding up? Well, for one, who wants to live in frickin' Manitoba? Who wants to live in Winnipeg? I don't.
Well, you're
cold and dreary.
You're a fair weather fan.
I like winter.
You don't.
I just like winter with stuff to do.
There is stuff to do.
Like what?
Go to the Jets games.
Uh-huh.
Go to the Jets games every night.
Now, what if you're a Jets player? What else is there in town? The Blue Ballers. I'm sorry, Bombers.
The Blue Bombers.
I need to make
in the summertime.
I'm sorry.
In the summertime, oh man, dude, the Bombers don't you get?
Okay, what if you don't like football?
Then you clearly can't live in the plains then of Canada.
That's why it's so easy for Vegas to get people. It feels like
because it's Vegas.
Yeah,
when people sign McCrimmon and George McPhee have done so
what
much.
do they think about? What am I going to be able to do on my off days or when I have free time?
There's plenty to do in Minnesota.
What am I going to be able to do to set up for my family? Is the team any good? And if you're in Minnesota, it's Great place to raise a family.
St. Paul,
You know,
which is where the Wild are, but yeah.
well, yeah. I mean, not so bad of a place to raise a family.
Yeah.
There's just not a whole lot to do, I feel like.
Yeah, to your point. That makes sense.
It's not, well, okay, scratch that. There's plenty to do in Minnesota. It's just that it's dreary.
Okay. I think you're looking at it from a too far of a logistics perspective. I'm just saying.
Well, that's because that's why you got to sometimes think about
I'm
it.
just saying the fact that the Leafs or the Wild just got outplayed. That's what I'm saying. That's why they lost. They didn't lose because they got. I mean, yes, Vegas has the more talent, but Minnesota showed that they can hang in.
But
there.
my point is.
Oh, good Lord. Oh gosh, there's a loose puck. Okay, sorry.
Oh, sorry, the Leafs were playing like the Leafs.
Jack Campbell all of a sudden fought the puck right in front of the
Yeah, at least my third string goalie is freaking rocking it. Yours is embarrassing.
What, Reimer? He hasn't played the.
No.
Who?
Can't pronounce his name. It starts Nemestadic.
Oh, Nedeljkovic is your
That
start.
one.
No, I thought. Okay, excuse me.
Nedeljkovic, that one.
You meant third string to start the year. Well, Campbell is the backup. Now, the reason why I don't know what's wrong with Michael Hutchinson. I'm not saying Hutchinson should be playing in this game, but I'm saying what happened to him? He was playing fine.
Probably a confidence thing with Keefe.
Nick, maybe. Well, yes.
But my point
Dave Riddick was better.
My point I was going on is Minnesota has always been a middle tier team. They've never been able to get over the hump, and it's been year after year after year of this. And it's just like, do you want to keep trying for it? Do you want to, or do you want to? It's like, do you want to give up and then see if you're able to rebuild? Because it's a hard thing.
What was the one thing we talked about during our preseason show, our predictions of how the season was going to go? Or no, our Christmas special. That was they're like a furnace that needs to be replaced. They have enough to survive, but not enough to be good longevity.
Yeah.
And then they make the playoffs and gave Vegas a run for their money.
Well, yeah. I mean, even at the beginning of the season, I said that the Minnesota Wild.
I said fourth.
Minnesota will make the playoffs, but they won't make it past the first round.
But you and I both said fourth, though. We both said fourth in the division, and we were both wrong. But yes, they made it to make it out of the first round.
Well,
but let's jump to round two here.
Okay.
Let's jump to the game between that Vegas played. Vegas goes with Robin Lehner in game one. Now, I don't think that was anyone's surprise, mainly because of the fact that Marc-Andre Fleury is clearly the number one goaltender. That's not why he didn't start game one. They said, let's give him a break. Because he's playing he's playing every single game with only a day's rest for that entire series, and then all of a sudden has to quickly go back for a series against a rested, fresh, and really angry team in the Colorado Avalanche, a team that is determined to win this year, and Nathan MacKinnon, who is being a world eater right now. Yeah, listen, when Robin Lehner got the start, I'm like, okay, this is not something wrong with Fleury. This is Robin Lehner is starting because you need to give Fleury rest. So, and thankfully for Vegas, I don't know why they didn't think about this to start the series, but they get 2 days off before game 2 on Wednesday night. That's a big, big help for Vegas. They want to get back in this series. But to that point, though, Colorado's good. Colorado is really good. Nathan MacKinnon had 2 goals.
they look dangerous.
Had 2 goals and an assist. Cale Makar literally decided, I'm just going to be the greatest defenseman in the history of the world. A goal and 3 assists.
No. But here's the thing, though. You say they look good. I don't think they look. I think they look dangerous.
Dangerous.
They look competitive.
They looked at.
I would put them up against any team in the East.
Well, the only teams in the East are New York and Boston, Alex. You mean the rest of the league? Just say the rest of the league.
Fine,
Alex.
rest of the league.
Well, absolutely. Why were they the President's Trophy winners, Alex? Exhibit A. Him and McKinnon and Landeskog both had 2 goals and assists. Rantanen had a goal and an assist. Vegas, like I said, Vegas was just tired. That's why I don't judge. Now, yes, that's a huge momentum builder for Colorado. Colorado's a good team. This was supposed to be the series that everyone wanted to see in round 2. But let's just hold on. It's not over yet. Just because it was 7-1. We've seen games get lopsided on both, like with good teams and bad teams. Let's not panic.
You know darn well, though. Well, for one, the Reeves suspension is going to be a huge hit to them.
Well, because Reeves didn't play in games 5 or 6 because he was on the COVID protocol list for Vegas, which made Minnesota play a little bit tougher.
Right. So
plays in game 7, who wins?
You take the Rottweiler off the ice, and all you're left with is a couple Jack Russells.
Jack Russell Terriers, yes.
Well, that's the full name for him. But
I like. Well, I don't think they have any Boston Terriers on that team, but it's okay.
That's why I said Jack Russells, not Boston's.
Okay. Anyways,
My thing is, yes, it's not every single game is going to be 7-1, but they set a precedent in Game 1. They are out there. They're out for blood. Colorado is dangerous. They're going to put everything they can at you. They're not stopping.
right.
They're not going to, oh, you're tired? I don't care. I'm still going to win. And this is a series that, we always talk about, the other team will get one out of them. I think if Colorado keeps with their mojo and they're smart, they're going to go full force for 4 games, sweep them out, rest.
I think when they go back to Vegas will get their footing. That's why I think this 2-day rest is so important for the Knights. I think they're going to make this a lot. It may go 5 or 6, but I think it'll be more competitive than it was last night. I don't think there's nobody's doubting that. Because while Vegas as a team as Vegas has found ways to lose the last couple of playoff years. Now, granted, 2019 was an absolute joke.
It was not a joke, but okay.
Pavelski fell on the back of his head. That should not have been a 5-minute major. Anyways, changed the game forever. But regardless, 2020, they almost lost to the Canucks. They almost lost to Thatcher Demko. Okay, I get that. The Chicago Blackhawks gave them a bunch of flack in that first round series. But that said, there's enough veteran players in that room to say, all right, guys, Game 1, we got our teeth kicked in. It's okay, though. 2 days off. Let's relax. Nobody, just don't worry about that game. We know how we can play Colorado. It's going to be fun on Wednesday night. 10 o'clock Eastern time, 7 o'clock Pacific time. That's actually the lone.
Would you be surprised, though, if they won it in 4?
Colorado? No. Absolutely not. But I would. Because here's the thing. Here's how it's going to sound it's going to sound dumb, probably confusing to some people. I'm not going to be surprised if Colorado wins in 4. I would be surprised if Vegas was swept, though. Does that make sense? I know it sounds kind of.
It makes sense, but it doesn't.
Yeah, it sounds like a hyperbole, but to that point, like you'd be shocked if Vegas was swept in this series, but you would not be surprised if Colorado swept them because how good Colorado is. Looking at it from each team's perspective.
My final note on it, so before I move on to the next one, is 7-1 does a thing to a team. Doesn't matter if even if you have 2 days.
I don't know, man. You remember when
even if you have 2 days of rest.
Remember Edmonton Anaheim in 2017, Game 5, when Edmonton was trying to stay alive. In Edmonton they throttled the Ducks. I think it was like 6-1, 7-2. It was a lopsided score. Anaheim comes out, knocks them out the next game.
Well, it's because Anaheim was by far the better team.
Well, yes, absolutely. But that's what I'm saying. But to that point, though,
that was one game.
That's what I'm saying.
Anaheim knew that they were a far better team. But if you're
Vegas knows they're a better team than they were last night.
If you're in the Vegas locker room, it's not like, oh well, crap, they really pulled a fast one on us, but we're still going to beat them. We're still better than them. If you're in the Vegas locker room, crap, we just got absolutely destroyed.
Yeah, they got hammered. But
the next, 3 to however many games, they're going to be hard. Because I'll say it once, I'll say it again. Colorado is dangerous. They look like not only a cup contender, but they look like the cup contender.
But just it's a thing what happened last year. They looked like a cup contender last year. But what happened? Grubauer got hurt. Francouz got hurt. Michael Hutchinson almost saved the day, but it was not going to be enough. They just have to find a way to not.
They just need to stay healthy.
Exactly. But then again,
that was their only thing. It's like you can. Oh,
and McKinnon McKinnon got shut down.
This
Dallas.
Is why this, and this is why this. It was a flu. What? No, dude. Look at Colorado. Even if they lost at peace, unless it was McKinnon.
This year, they could lose someone up front and be okay.
I don't think they could lose McKinnon.
Well, not McKinnon, pardon me, but they could lose.
They can't lose Landeskog.
Makar. I say Makar, Landeskog.
They could probably lose
Makar, Landeskog, and No, absolutely. Where's your offense coming from then after that?
The other two. Sub.
No, Makar is just such he's so good.
Dude, that's like saying when Pastrnak got hurt for a hot second that Bergeron and Marchand weren't doing great.
They weren't when he was hurt. When Pasta was out for a good stretch of time during the season, that's when Boston started to fall back down in the standings. And that's when people thought, oh, it's over. Boston's going to make the playoffs. We're going to get knocked out handily. And then Pasta comes back, and they end up moving on pretty easily against what seemed like a formidable Washington
I'm not
Capitals
concerned
team.
about the Avalanche at all.
That's
I'm
true.
not.
I give you that.
But I have no concern.
Like I
if
said,
I was a Vegas fan, I'd
final
be
word.
definitely concerned.
Colorado, they sweep. Okay. Vegas gets swept. That's a problem. Makes sense if you don't think about it too much. Let's move over to the Central Division, the series that we were going to pertain to before Ryan Reeves got suspended. Well, officially suspended. Had some breaking news here on TKS. By the way, let's take a quick moment here. If you missed the Lukas Weese interview earlier, that's totally fine. It's okay. No need to panic. You can obviously watch the replay on 12 on Sports, or Alex, you can watch it on the Kuehl Show YouTube channel. Or if you don't want to watch us eat Chinese food and drink beer, you can also just listen to us
on your favorite podcatcher.
Listen to us eat Chinese food and drink beer. 'Cause I'm pretty sure they could hear me chewing my my noodles.
Oh, maybe for a hot second. You turned off your mic.
I tried. Well, the last time I did. But Central Division.
Tampa and Carolina.
This now.
The series to watch.
Well, I will say this. Tampa, if Kucherov doesn't come back and Stamkos is 100% healthy, Florida wins that series. And actually, pardon me. If they don't start Bob in either of the games that he did, I think Florida wins the series. But that's neither here nor there. My thing is this, though. Tampa is ready to go, but Carolina, the way they play is perfect to combat Tampa. However, we saw yesterday, you give Tampa any light, and that's trouble. Braden Point, power play. You can't take penalties against Tampa. Oh, no. Oh, gosh, Josh Anderson had a 2-on-1.
If he threw that on the ice, he was in.
Oh, yeah, because Jack Campbell is the epitome of a goaltender that got mashed. It's like, imagine Chris Osgood, but younger. Who was brought up in a stand-up style goaltending, but then got told to drop to his knees. That's Jack Campbell, the way he plays. Except Jack Campbell is a few years younger than Chris Osgood when he started doing butterfly.
Fair.
But anyways, this is a perfect matchup. Carolina, who loves to just gun-ho shoot everything on goal, and Tampa, who has offensive powers. But at the same token, both teams have good goaltending and good solid defense. Now, despite chances getting galore yesterday, that game was exactly, I think, what we expected out of it. Now, we probably expected a few more goals, but that's because of the two goaltenders. Nedeljkovic, not his greatest game, but he made a few big saves. That squeaker by Barclay Goodrow is one he's going to want back, but that's the weakest goal he's given up these playoffs. Not bad for a rookie.
No.
But the other guy,
25-year-old rookie, I think.
The guy, well, yeah, 20. Yeah, he's been in the minors for a long time. Former Flint Firebird legend Alex Nedeljkovic. But the other guy at the other end, the guy that's going to win the Vezina Trophy this year, I'm not even going to argue it this time. Andrei Vasilevsky, 37 saves. Nobody's shocked there.
No, and you can never discount the Lightning for the amount of talent that they have.
Nope.
Regardless of however they play, whatever the score is, even if they barely get by one goal in overtime, which if you're a Hurricanes fan, we're used to that now. We just go to overtime, double overtime, triple overtime.
You lost in double overtime both games, Alex.
Whatever. We're used to it.
Matt Duchene.
We are used to extra time, man.
Well, yeah.
That being said, I think the one thing to keep note about this series is because I think this is as far as round 2, there are a lot of series. There's options. You have Carolina and Tampa, where you have two great teams as far as talent.
Very deep. You
have the Isles versus the Bruins, which
not
is
very deep versus not very deep.
Not very deep versus not very deep.
And two good goaltenders,
but quite cutthroat.
Yes,
it's going to be a very nasty series.
We'll get to that here in just a moment.
You have Colorado and Vegas,
high scoring,
where it's going to be high scoring.
Willy-nilly hockey.
You're going to see a lot of after the whistle shenanigans.
It's literally Vegas, Las Vegas. Roll the dice and see what you get. Go Sevens.
I guess with this, you have Winnipeg versus either Toronto or Montreal, which is just going to be...
Well, Winnipeg. Winnipeg is Connor Hellebuck in the Band of Merry Men.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
I will say this, though. The Canadian division, the Scotiabank... North, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. boring.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I think people say that because
I know. I was just on the phone the other day saying the reason why is because there's no fans. No,
and Game 6 was probably the most entertaining game that we've had.
I'm talking on ice. It's just there's not a lot of story there.
There is plenty of story. It's different.
There's no diversity. It's just we play hockey. We're very good at what we do, and I think we're just gonna win.
That's what everyone says.
No.
Yes.
The Islanders are like, we are going to score goals, and we have Matt Martin to punch your face in. If you're Boston, we're like, we are going to score goals, and Pastrnak's going to slash your face in. If you're Carolina, we're going to score goals, and we're going to run circles around you. You want some barbecue?
Want some barbecue? Want some Carolina barbecue?
If you're Tampa, we're going to score goals and hate other teams' fans.
Okay,
yes, I'm going to go back to it.
Really?
I don't even
We're going to gunny sack that, aren't you? We've already gone back to a story literally less than an hour ago.
This series, the team that wins is the team that controls the pace. Nedeljkovic.
Well, who led the pace? Well, Carolina probably. I'd say Carolina.
Carolina the entire time. Look at just even Game 6 with Carolina. Watch that game.
Nashville.
That's what I said.
You said Carolina.
The Hurricanes.
You mentioned Carolina versus Nashville. Game 6.
I said with Carolina. Watch that game. What is one thing you can take away from that? The one thing I took away was Nedeljkovic fit in like a glove.
He can make the big save.
Not even big save. Back-end pace. Puck movement. Making sure that as soon as forecheckers come in, they're already back-checking. You are a noodle walrus, sir.
I'm a noodle walrus.
Whoever controls the pace in this series is going to win. Tampa doesn't like to go too fast. Why? Because all of their best players aren't the quickest on their feet.
But that's why you have Goudreau and you have Coleman.
They depend on their couple guys to go into the corners, get it out, get puck possession.
Yep.
As long as they have the puck, Tampa feels safe.
Right.
Even when they're in the defensive zone.
Ooh, Morgan Riley with a chance. Carey Price. Okay, well, finish your point.
We'll get there.
Finish your point.
Well, we'll get there in a second. Well, my point is, even when they're in the defensive zone, Tampa just looks comfortable with the puck. It's when they're off the puck that I have concern for them. Carolina, even when they don't have
Carolina's
the puck,
they're a good puck possession team.
Move. They just keep moving. They keep cycling out. It's almost like they don't even really have positions on the ice other than when they are at the faceoff.
The thing is with Carolina, it's Rod Brind'Amour, but with more skill. That's not a complete knock on Rod Brind'Amour. He was a very effective player when he played, but he was not a superstar. Now, yes, it was fortunate enough that he got to play with Eric Lindros, Johnny Leclerc. When he was in Carolina, he had Ronnie Francis and Sammy Kapanen, but he didn't have to be a superstar. Wasn't a super skilled player, but he worked and he skated and he got in the right areas. Now imagine that. Just take that hardworking mentality and throw it into a guy with hands like Andrei Svechnikov, Aho, Marty Necas. Like, that is why I think this Carolina team's so dangerous. They're playing for him. It's insane that he's only going to get paid $2 million to be a coach, but he wants to be there. Like, it's incredible the fact that anyone's like, why would he never, why would he leave? Or, of course, coaches, everyone wants more money. But here's the thing. Rod Brind'Amour loves being in Carolina. He likes being there. And that's why he's going to take a massive pay cut. He's going to get paid way less than Babcock was getting paid when he was at the Leafs, way less than what Joel Quenneville's getting paid in Florida or he's in Chicago. Like, he's going to get paid dirt cheap compared to those guys, but it's because he wants to be there, and that team will play for him. That's, I think, the biggest thing in all this. Now, granted, as soon as that goes away, yes, he'll be gone.
Tyler,
that's how it works for everybody.
I'm going to go off for a little bit. Could you look up what Scotty Bowman's salary was when the last one he signed?
Scotty Bowman, coaching salary. Well, okay, I'm going to have to try to find a way.
Try to look it up, because
compare boost wages. Bowman's. Is that his? Wow. This is all the way back from 1997, an article from the Associated Press, which I can use because
actually an article that I looked at. So you should
paid.
So scroll down for.
He gets paid $650,000, which the average salary at that point was $386,000. Mike Mike Milbury got paid $700,000 in 1997 to be a head coach. Who in the blue blaze in hell thought that was a good idea? Was that John Spano before they realized he couldn't pay for the pie of the Islanders? Was that him? Let's look at what $650 was today. All right,
Yeah, $650,000
$650K
in 1997.
today.
Yeah, okay.
Let's try that. Value of it is, so that would equal to converted amount a little over $1 million.
A little over $1 million a year.
And that was when Scotty Bowman was pretty much the twilight of his career.
My point with this is actually, I'm glad that you clicked that one because I used that as a source in one of my papers.
Graduated student, by the way. Graduated college kid. He's got a degree now.
I do have a degree to tell
you got a graderd?
I have a
I have a very expensive piece of paper.
I got a degree that I paid a lot for to tell you that you're not good at sports, and I'll tell you how to be good at sports. And that's
if you're gonna be dumb, you gotta be tough.
Let me learn you how to sport real quick, son. Okay.
You're really fitting with Carolina folks now.
I like barbecue. I
love that Carolina barbecue.
I like Carolina. Well, okay, you have to be careful because there's Carolina barbecue and then there's the Southern Carolina style of barbecue, like the sauce.
If you start dipping, though, we're going to have problems. That's all I'm going to say.
What, dipping barbecue?
No, dipping. Oh, dip. Dip.
Oh, no, I'm not stupid.
Okay, I'm just making sure. Just want to know where you're at.
But my point with that is that he was paid a lot, but he wasn't paid the most. Yep. You don't have to be paid the most to be the best. And we've always talked about players taking pay cuts to be on winning teams. This is a good call. And as a former player, he understands this.
Yep.
Even though he didn't play in the cap era.
Well, he played for teams. Well, he played for Philly, but then he went to Carolina, which had no cap.
After the cap era, so he played like till 2009.
Oh, dang. That's a good question.
I think he played till 2009.
Or
2008. I think it was 2008. Yes, because
he was not on the team. He didn't make it to the conference finals in 2009.
No. He played
Hockey reference.
2010. 2010 was his last career.
Oh, no, so he was there. Okay.
So
he was 16th in the Selke voting that year.
The majority of his career was played outside of the cap era, but even when he was in it, he understands the importance of dollars to success. You don't have to make the most money to win, i.e., Bob down in Florida, i.e., Quinville down in Florida. Why? They're good, yes, but will they win? No.
With Spencer Knight there. Spencer Knight's going to lead him to the promised land.
Connor McDavid in Edmonton. Edmonton will not be a successful team until Connor McDavid's contract is up, or if he gets an extension with the team and it's lower.
I just find it funny.
Guaranteed.
I just find it funny how
money does not mean win.
I find it funny how
Toronto's the most expensive team in the entire league. Actually, that's not true. They're not way over the cap.
Well,
I don't think they're as expensive as Tampa.
Well,
Tampa
did the cap circumvention up to the wazoo.
You understand what I'm saying?
Pardon? Winnipeg. Wait, hold on. Is this really right? 2021 cap space. Oh, hold on.
Does that include LTIR?
Final cap. There we go. Tampa's $98 million.
There it is, yes.
Toronto's not even the best. Toronto's only at 84.
They're very expensive, though. They're very expensive. The majority of their team is in 3 players. Actually, four-ish, but 3 players, one of which is not playing right now because he's out indefinitely, in John Tavares. Toronto can spend as much money as they want. By the way, sit down, Marner. They can spend as much money as they want to try to be a good hockey team, but you don't win without wins. And
hold on, say that again.
You don't win without wins.
You don't win without wins. Thank you, Alex.
Because you don't have enough wins, you don't make the playoffs, and if you don't make the playoffs, you don't win the thing. Make sense?
No, they need wins in the playoffs. They've been making the playoffs. That's not a problem.
Now.
Well, okay, yes, there was a good chunk.
Well, let's see if they can make it past the first round, Ty.
Well, they're getting outshot 10-7 right now.
I know you're sweating right now, and it ain't just because
No, it's because of this. It's the Kung Pao chicken I got here. Actually, I took a bite of this, and I'm like, oh, good Lord.
I don't know if that's actually it was like something spicy chicken. So it was basically.
This is the one I usually get from.
Okay,
Panda
that's what I
Express.
thought. That's what I thought. Where was I going with this?
I should have told you about the place I usually go to.
Taking cuts. Brind'Amour understands this. He wants his people taken care of. He wants to make sure that he's taken care of. He wants to make sure that his players and the playing style that he has implemented survives.
Yep.
Because, yes, he could make a lot of money going to hang out with his buddy in Seattle. He totally could.
Oh, man.
And that'd be great. I would love that. But it's not going to be good for Carolina. It's not going to be good for him because you know what? As our good Uncle Alex said at the family get-together before I got over here, if you have a bunch of players that don't work in your system, you just have a bunch of players. You're not going to win.
Exactly.
That's the reason why, I think it's promising that the Detroit Red Wings are where they're at because they still, even though they're not very successful, they have players in their system
oh boy,
that work with Blashill's coaching style. Rod Brind'Amour is doing good things in Carolina. Why would you stop? You are on the fringe.
You're on the fringe to bring in another cup to
this organization has built up from the kind of like pseudo dark years post 2006 Cup to bringing it back to where it needs to be. They're a Cup contender.
They sang to his father, for goodness sakes.
They did. That was such an adorable video.
Like it's his birthday, everybody, and on cue, happy birthday. And of course he's on the phone with his dad. You guys did the greatest thing tonight. You guys worked your wow. If I did that, I'm like, Dad'd probably be like, calm down there, calm down.
But this team's a Cup contender. They make the playoffs consistently now.
Now they do, yes.
They make it past the first round, second round consistently now.
They were knocked out in the first round last year.
Okay, last year, yes. But they're gonna be that team.
Yep.
They're gonna be a team like a Tampa, like a Boston, kind of like the Islanders. Now they're another one of those teams that kind of gets up there. We'll talk about them later. But I'm so excited. And why would you go away from that? That'd be like a star player for a team deciding, you know what, I can make some better money elsewhere. Let me just leave a Cup contender real quick.
Jack Eichel. Wait, what? Well, he can't make more money elsewhere. He just wants to go somewhere else.
He probably could make more money elsewhere.
Speaking of which,
here
Seth Jones is going to be looking for. Look, he doesn't want to be anywhere with. He doesn't want to be with the Blue Jackets next season.
I don't want him.
Well, yeah, well,
I don't want him
because that cap hit's going to be big. The Leafs. Everyone's like, oh, he's going to come to the Leafs. I'm like, how?
Why did?
How?
Yes, Leafs Nation. You tell me how we're going to pay for him.
We're going to trade Morgan Riley. Okay, no, you're not. No, you're not. Get off that horse. Hey, Freddie Anderson's coming off the books next year. Don't tell me anything otherwise. At least not he's not going to be there for $5 million. I'm just saying.
I'll give him $700K and a shiny nickel.
$800K. At least $1 million.
$700K.
I don't know. It'll be interesting what happens with Frederick Anderson.
$750 if he's lucky.
I will say
Isn't
this.
$750
I will
now?
$700. That's what Spezza and Thornton are making.
Okay.
I'll say this. How this game goes tonight determines if Frederick Anderson is a Leaf next year.
Yes.
I'm saying it right now.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
100%. But let's take a quick pause here. When we come back, we will talk about that Boston Islanders series. Chris King, by the way, is just having an absolute blast.
Who are you?
Bogosian. That's Bogosian. Look at all there's our frontline workers.
Look at that right there.
Yeah.
Hey, Habs sweaters.
Because they're in Ontario, and there's Habs fans in Ontario. Is that? Oh, it's Wixie.
Hi, Haley.
That's Haley. Sorry, Haley Wickenheiser.
Dr.
Haley Wickenheiser. The Haley Wickenheiser, not our Wixie. I'm pretty sure Wixie. I'm pretty sure Wixie's at the
Haley
door now.
Wickenheiser.
I think I just scared Wixie. Wixie heard her name.
Doctorate in bad MFery.
She is a doctor. She's awesome. Haley, and she's a doctor, a certified medical professional, and also the director of player performance for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
And former Olympian.
Gold medal winner, Hall of Famer, the whole 9 yards.
Let me just get the list down.
Just pull out the computer paper. She has done everything. Multi-time world champion, multi-time gold medal winner. She's done it all, and she could have done more. Well, I mean, she was actually pretty old, but she could have kept going. I will say this.
She's doing a lot off the ice.
She's doing a lot off the ice. She's doing an amazing job. But let's take a break, though, because we want to eat some more Chinese food without it crunching, because I have a lot of the nuts that are left in the Kung Pao here, which it's a little loud in the speaker. So we'll take a quick pause, folks. When we come back, Isles, Boston, as well as more reaction to this game, which is only got 24 seconds left in the first period, still scoreless Leafs and Habs. You're watching The Kuehl Show here on 12 Ounce Sports.
Dirty heckin' days.
Johnny, my dear boy. Welcome back to the Kuehl Show, everyone, here on 12 Out Sports, where I am sweating profusely.
1-0 the score with Boston leading the Islanders.
13:37 to go in the first period. Charlie Coyle, his second of the postseason with an absolute dandy of a dangle. Charlie Coyle.
boy.
Gosh, my hair's starting to curl, too. That's how much I'm sweating. That's bad. That's ugly.
Ooh.
First period over between the Leafs and the Habs. Only a little over half hour left on the show. I hope it's only nothing after by the time we get done with the show, knock on wood, so I don't feel obligated to stay in the studio because it's getting warm in here.
Is it?
Well, then
You
again,
got your window open.
the window's open. Yeah, she's
It's
open.
gonna get cooler in here.
I hope so.
Honestly, when I was coming over here, I was really thinking to myself, I know it's getting to be warmer out, but am I gonna have to bring a sweater into the studio?
No,
Because typically you keep it real cool in here, but thankfully,
well,
your wife has taken a handle and just strapped it right to you, saying no.
Well, here's the thing.
We're gonna keep it as a reasonable temperature in here.
I'm obviously wearing a shirt now because we're on the program here on the Kuehl Show here on 12 Ounce Sports, or if you're listening to us on your favorite podcatcher on the Kuehl Show or the YouTube channel replay.
Sure.
But also the fact that I don't have to wear a shirt around the house.
Yeah.
And we don't.
That's
have,
nice.
That's very nice.
No, as soon as me and Katie moving together, I'm not wearing pants.
You don't have that. See, that's the that's the one of the best parts. Like when Kel and I moved in together, I was so happy because I'm like, I can just trot around in shorts or boxers or whatever, no problems. Don't have to worry about.
Tyler, you did that anyway.
Well, okay, I
You
did
that anyway.
I tried.
I'm sure. Even when you were in Lucknow, and I couldn't personally attest to it. I'm sure that
it was no. I never.
All you did was walked around
I couldn't.
in your undies and nothing.
I couldn't. You want to know why, Alex? Because I was in Lucknow in the fall and winter when it was always under 10 degrees. It
but
was
even when we
the
were
warmest
living
day
at
I
the old
had
house,
when I
or Nana's, or when you were living with the boys, you still didn't wear a shirt.
I never wore a shirt. Shirt
You
was
were-
never.
You
Shirt was
either-
always optional.
You were always wearing shorts with no underwear. You're basically wearing
Well, when
boxes
we
at
were
that
just
point.
doing the podcast without any video, how often did I wear a shirt?
Never,
Almost
almost
exactly.
never, unless it was like winter, and
When it was
like
actually when
freezing.
Well, because down in the basement, I missed. That's the only reason why I missed the basement. We had poor connection down there, but the only reason why I loved the basement was oh boy, it was nice and cool.
And see, as soon as you moved out and everything, I just brought my entire setup into my bedroom because I was like, I am not freezing in the middle of the winter just because.
But the blankets down there were so nice.
I don't want to always be covered in blankets. Sometimes I want to be in a comfortable temperature.
Someday I don't want to use a big thick blanket over my legs. Is that how the song goes?
Sure.
Yeah, Wixie. Look at Wixie. She's laying down like a good girl. She's waiting for scraps.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Wixie heard that
We have dog
she
Wixie.
was on the TV.
Dog Wixie is in here. Haley Wickenhei is at Scotiabank right now. She's at the bank. She's having a spa day.
She's making money.
Carey Price through the first period looking pretty good. They're showing some of his highlights. I mean, nothing
It
flashy.
was all conspiracy. Him breaking his stick, him going to Laval. It's all conspiracy, Ty.
Well, he went to Laval because he needed
It
a
was
conditioning stint.
It was to throw Toronto off their game and think that he was hurting and he was not ready to play him.
Anytime Carey Price says, you say Stanley Cup playoffs to Carey Price, like, when was the last bad start he had in the postseason? 2013?
Honestly, I really think it's one of those things where, what was it? Was it the Terminator where he got was he unfrozen, or what movie was that?
Talking, well, that was if you're talking where he got flash frozen, melted, and came back together. That was T-1000 in Terminator 2.
That one.
Okay.
I honestly believe that it's like you have dummy Carey Price throughout the regular season, preseason, all that stuff, offseason, whatever.
Is that Kobe Armstrong? No. That's Kobe Armstrong.
Yeah, it is.
Kobe Armstrong's on NBC. Did Sportsnet fire him?
Maybe.
Or did they get the deal that TSN used to have?
Maybe. I don't know. That being
Well,
said,
there were a lot of layoffs at Sportsnet, but I don't think Kobe was one of them.
probably would.
No. Anyways.
He's not that great.
Hey, we lost Siebel.
He's on NBC. He's not that great.
NBC's on their last legs. Anyways.
Shoot, where was I going with this? Ty, what was I talking about?
I don't remember now. I'll be honest. We were talking about
Terminator.
Carey Price. Oh,
there
yes.
we go. And then playoffs comes around. T100 Carey Price comes out.
T-1000.
Whatever.
T-100, that's like the infant.
Tyler, my extent of actually watching the Terminator was me watching Jingle All the Way.
I was just watching Arnold Schwarzenegger in any other movie. That's as much as I've ever watched.
Turbo Man.
Turbo. It's turbo time.
Arnold Schwarzenegger and wearing Turbo Man's gear is the closest thing I've ever.
That's
came to
almost as bad
actually
as
watching
like if
Terminator.
anyone's ever watched the movie True Lies. That's just about as bad. Except the difference was True Lies. They dropped some F-bombs in there.
What's True Lies?
That's another movie that Arnie did in the '90s. That was just completely bonkers and off the wall.
Was it like bonkers off the? What was this like? Still doing?
He was
still doing Olympia.
He was
Arnie, or what?
he was a husband. I don't know if he had a kid in that one. I don't remember if he had a kid, but he was a husband that was getting
this has
hunted.
been dangling for the past half hour, dude.
Oh, the onion.
The one that's just it's ready to fall off.
It's like every mid-card wrestler during the Royal Rumble just hanging off the ropes, never going to get eliminated until like some big heavy face or big heavy heel just comes out and knocks him out completely.
At Kofi Kingston.
Kofi King. Well, no, because
The king of not getting eliminated.
no, because Kofi got knocked out of the ring but didn't get eliminated. That onion was just hanging on. Anyways, so here you talk for a second because I got an onion I have to crunch in my
Sure,
mouth.
yeah, you chew it for a bit. So next series we're going to talk about here is the Boston and Islanders series.
1-0 Boston after game 1 where David Pastrnak,
Pasta.
speaking of noodles and pasta, David Pastrnak, Dunkin' Donuts' favorite player, gets a hat trick. And I'll be honest with you, you see the hat trick, you see it's a 5-2 score, you think, oh, it was pretty lopsided. Well, no, it wasn't.
As far as play goes.
Now, granted, it could have been lopsided because Ilya Sorokin, holy moly, not to quote the Fox show, holy moly, did he look good. Because, and I mentioned him, like Ilya Sorokin's, he was supposed to be the goalie of the future. Anywho, that's why they brought him in last year in the bubble. I mentioned this after the Islanders eliminated the Pittsburgh Penguins. He's going to be their guy once Varlamov finally goes over the hill, which may be already right now. But he was solid. He looked confident because there were times in Boston, they only had 2 power plays. But he looked really good, made some really big saves right now. Yes, it's 1-0 right now, and he did get his jock strap ripped off him and it's thrown to the top of the TD garden right now. But let's be honest, that game 1 does not, it's maybe a 7 or 8-2 game if it's not for the play of Ilya Sorokin. That's how good he was in that first game.
I am excited to see how this series pans out because I definitely feel like the Islanders.
Hold on, that's Semyon Varlamov. Never mind. Semyon Varlamov got his jock strap dangled off. Why is Varlamov starting? Barry Trotz, what is the matter with you?
Barry Trotz is a genius, so I
Well, no, because he did this in the last series. Sorokin gets, now granted, Sorokin won game 1, and then he starts Varlamov the next 2, and they fell down 2-1. Thankfully, Sorokin came and saved the day.
I guess it's just
It's
got to
be a break thing. It's got to be a, hey, you know what? We may lose both in Boston. Let's get you ready because Nassau Coliseum may be in their favor.
It might just be a thing, Ty. I don't know. Tyler, last season you threw your hat into every argument you could when it came to Barry Trotz, saying that he was the best coach of all time.
Well, since Bowman.
Of
the modern era, of the Cap era.
The post-Bowman era, he was the best hockey coach ever. Is still the best hockey coach ever.
Yes. Except when he starts
He knows what to do.
That's what we're gonna have to accept.
That's just honestly the one thing that we're gonna have to base everything off of. Because just look at who you're dealing with.
You're dealing with a really good Boston offense.
Good Boston offense. Pairings out the wazoo, because they do that every single time.
McAvoy, who scored in game 1, is looking very confident, which everyone thought that he was going to falter without Zdeno Chara on his side. But let's be honest, he's looked good. And yeah, you know what? Boston is a more complete team than they were looking towards the end of the regular season.
Beginning of the season.
Well,
we were like,
okay.
Wow.
Let's be honest.
Okay, you lose Chara, and you're like, okay, you're not all completely, lost in the woods, but
they're older. Their core is older.
Your core is older. And your middle guys aren't that promising.
There was at one point when the top 2 teams in this division, Alex, in the East Division, were the Islanders and hey, Wixie, come here. She got something in her mouth. Wixie, come here. Oh, she knows she's in trouble. Oh boy, Wixie. Come here. Come here.
What?
Come here, baby girl. Come here.
I didn't do nothing. I'm a loaf of bread. Hi.
There you are, baby girl. Come
Hello.
Here. Lay down. But yes.
They just weren't promising.
It was New York and Boston, top 2. Pittsburgh caught fire, Washington came around, and everything was fine. So that's why I say I didn't think Boston was going to be this good. But now Pasternak's healthy. The perfection line is perfect once again. They are sitting pretty, and it's dangerous. It's dangerous for the Islanders, who is a very solid defensive team. And I think once this series goes back to Nassau, which I believe they're going to be allowing more fans in, knock on wood, haven't heard anything official yet, but that's the rumor that they're going to allow more fans at Nassau, which was already a hostile place when they were at limited capacity for the first series against Pittsburgh.
That was a huge reason why Carolina versus Nashville is like, oh my God, there's no way you're going to lose in your home barn.
It was just increased fan every game. All right, for game 3, we're going to have 12,000. All right, 13,000. Then 14,000 in Nashville. And it was like, all right, we're starting with 9,000. And then 10,000. And now it's like, Carolina's like, screw it. Round 2. Everyone's allowed. All you Caniacs in here. Let's get them in here. The Carolina Crusades. Let's get everyone in here who believes in it.
The gun show.
And that's exactly how it is. And Boston now has full capacity at TD Garden, so Nassau, they're going to have to do it. They are going to have to try to combat that because home ice advantage. Wixie, get that out of your mouth. Dang it. That's it. Hold this, please.
I'm holding this here.
Come here, Wixie.
Oh, gosh. You okay, old man? You going to die?
Well, I ran 5 miles yesterday. Didn't you see my Instagram?
I was on the elliptical for 5 miles.
But the elliptical doesn't hurt your knees.
Well, that's why I use the elliptical. It's so I don't have to hurt my knees.
Well, it's also my legs. Yeah. So for those that didn't hear me ramble on the background, I ran 5 miles yesterday. And if anyone follows me on Twitter or Instagram at TJKU29.
And then he poured milk all over himself.
Well, because it was the Indy 500 yesterday, and I ran 1/100th of the distance and 1/100th of the speed. I decided to have a mason jar full of milk, and milk. It does stuff to your hair that you don't want it to. I had to take a shower quickly. I had to do laundry yesterday, and because you don't want to let that sit. Holy cow! All of a sudden, all my notifications come at one time. What else did I say? Oh boy, people are liking my stuff.
What'd you say?
Well, it was just.
Did you say naughty words on the internet?
No, it was. Oh, did you see this? So they're showing what happened at Legends Row.
What happened?
Someone wrote a note saying to the hockey gods, accept this vintage helmet and Dougie era helmet as a token or something. Pretty much saying, take this old helmet and let us win, please. And it's ironically placed, first of all, with the famous picture of Dougie and Wendell in the helmet. You can't see it right now from that angle. But it also says goalies.
As a sacrifice.
As a sacrifice. And it's underneath Dougie's arm, climbing over the boards at Legends Row right outside Scotiabank Arena. And
did you see that there's a news broadcast done in the morning, and there was a lone guy out there on Legends Row wearing a Leafs jersey, wearing the number 9, but the last name on the back was 60.
What?
Yeah.
Where was it? What was this on? Was this on?
It was on.
Was that Breakfast TV or something?
I think it was on CBC.
Oh,
just regular
CBC report. Does anyone know if Sid Sixrell responded to my request about picking the Jamie Lee Curtis strip scene? What were we talking about earlier? Alex jumps in with the Jamie Lee Curtis strip scene. What did I say? What did you say? What were we talking about? I'm confused now. What movie references did we make like 10 minutes ago? I'm lost. Dang it, now my mojo's thrown off. Alex, what did we say? I don't know what I said. Oh, well. He'll probably throw it in here in a second. Second period's underway between...
One of the Terminator movies?
Oh, yeah. That wasn't Jamie Lee Curtis, though.
Or no, the one movie where you're like, it was kind of other weird. The Arnold Schwarzenegger. Not Jingle All the Way.
Oh, True Lies. That's maybe where we went with it. Okay.
Maybe.
That's the only thing I can think of. I think that's because his wife.
In True Lies?
Anyways, second period listen. Prepare for midnight. Like, imagine Michael Bay, but secret.
Dude, I'm not actually going to watch it. I'm just joking.
Well, then don't say it, because now everyone's thinking you're going to watch it. Next time you come on the show, whenever that may be, they're going to be all excited for it.
We'll see.
They're showing the last time that Montreal, first of all, came back from a 3-1 deficit in 2010, and Dominic Moore, who's doing color for the game for NBC Sports, or on CNBC right now, is the guy that scored one of the goals in that game for Montreal. Now, that was not one of the Game 7 wins that Carey Price has. He's 2-1 in Game 7s. That was Yaroslav Hulak. Hulak, who took over. What'd I say?
You said Hulak.
Hulak. Hoorah. Okay, True Lies. Thank you, Alex. But anyways, Yaroslav Hulak, who took the job away from Carey Price towards the end of that season. And then Yaroslav Halak was rewarded by getting traded to St. Louis.
Mundo, Senorito.
Good for him. But this going back to the Boston Islanders series here, we'll wrap this up before we just kind of ramble on for the last 20 minutes of this program. This series has a chance to be a very long series if the Islanders can win on home ice. Because it seems like Boston is going to be very confident with a full house there at TD Garden. They always play well at home during the playoffs, for the most part. If the Islanders can come back in this game, it's only 1-0 right now, last time we looked. I think they can, getting home ice advantage away from Boston is huge. But going to Nassau, they're going to have to win all their games at Nassau. I don't think there's any legitimate reason to say otherwise. Because they need to. They need to win at home.
There's no doubt. If they do not win every game that they have, honestly,
they would. That means they would have to win one in Boston, but that's a better chance than
this is a 6 or 7 game series. I honestly think.
Rixie, cleanup crew. Oh, she's right there. There she is. She's got a noodle right there.
But honestly, this is gonna. I like, except for the North Division, all of these series are gonna be fun to watch.
I think Winnipeg
really
versus Winnipeg versus whoever.
I'm sorry, Winnipeg's they suck. They're not good.
Carey Price versus Connor Hellebuck.
No.
Or the Leafs versus Winnipeg, which is literally. I'm not saying David
Line
versus.
is not there anymore.
I'm not saying David versus Goliath as in. Hold on, I'm talking. I'm not saying David versus Goliath as in the Leafs if the Leafs were to win, it'd be so much better than Winnipeg. I'm saying it's like big market, big money Leafs team versus Winnipeg, which is, albeit one of the smallest media markets in the league. Second to, probably around them is, I'm gonna say it's gonna people be like, but it's Phoenix. No, because Arizona, the Coyotes are in Glendale. I'm gonna say that's why they're one of the smaller market teams. I was gonna say, well, Florida's technically in the Miami area. I'm trying to think of what's another small one. Maybe. Well, it's so weird because Edmonton is actually a smaller city compared to some of the other big cities in the league, but they're just they are a big city in Alberta.
Well, yeah, it's the same way that Ionia is a big city compared to the rest of the farmland that's in Ionia County.
Right. Because it's the only city in Ionia County.
Not true. Saranac.
Well, I guess Saranac, yeah. But yeah.
There's Portland's in Ionia County.
I picked Bruins in 6. Oh, sorry. I was going to go back to this here.
Or is Portland in Montcalm?
Portland, I'm not sure. Oh, hell.
Oh, get absolutely plastered.
Brendan Gallagher just snuck one through the 5-hole.
Hey, Tyler, grab the whiskey. You're about to have a long night.
Brendan Gallagher just snuck one through the 5-hole of Jack Campbell. I thought, hey, no barking. You can't bark. Only Daddy can yell.
This is what I'm going to
say.
Let's see.
I see it.
This is what. Well,
he just missed it. Oh, Lord. Oh, no.
Wixie's letting him know. Wixie's letting him know.
Quit barking. I swear, my goodness gracious me.
Wixie's letting him know. Hey, you suck.
Oh, that's straight 5-hole. Freddie Anderson's going to come back next year. I can't handle this.
You're so bad.
Oh,
why did you do this? 5-hole.
Not now.
Oh, my goodness. 5-hole.
I'm clicking Twitter literally just to see.
There's not a lot of space between my legs because I'm a corgi.
You know what?
And I'm thicker than a Snicker. But dang, I could close it quicker than that. Oh, boy.
All right.
5-hole.
First of all.
All right, Wixie, that's enough. Come here.
First of all, this is the best one. So there's two very opposite ones here. World Hockey Report saying Freddie Anderson would have stopped that. I'm not.
Whatever.
But then Lukas Weese came right. Literally, they both 43 seconds at the same time. At least that's where the feed says. Lukas Weese, who was just on the show, that's a Freddie Anderson let-in. So therefore, I agree with Lukas Weese because he came on our show. Now, granted, Luke DeCock, who we've had on the show before, decided to say golf, Leafs, golf. So Luke DeCock is uninvited from the show. He's actually really busy. That's why we were going to have him on last week, but he got caught up with other stuff. I like Luke DeCock. He was a fun guy to talk to.
Hey, folks, you wanna hear me piss Tyler off real quick?
If Mitch Marner, of course, Carey Price comes back with a big save,
and of course, Zach Hyman can't score.
Zach Hyman hold on, I had the numbers up here for Toronto.
Dude, I don't care.
Okay, Hyman.
Folks, let's piss Tyler off real quick. You know who?
It's easy.
You know who would have made that save?
Who? Michael Hutchinson.
Bernier.
Bernier would not have. Bernier,
You're not so offended by it now.
Well, because you say Bernier, I'm like, when he's with Detroit and has no pressure, he folded. Jonathan Bernier folded as a Toronto Maple Leafs goaltender. He could not handle the pressure.
Way better than Reimer.
Don't you dare.
Way better. You know who really wouldn't have made that save? Tyler, he wouldn't even been on his net because he would have been flat on his back. James Reimer.
I'm gonna stab you with this fork.
Now, Carolina Hurricanes James Reimer.
Oh
He would have been flat on his back, but at least he would have made the save.
Is he still hurt, or is he just not playing?
He's still hurt.
He's still hurt. Because last time I checked, he was hurt, but I thought he'd been healthy by now.
Yeah,
but the way
he's,
Nedeljkovic has played,
He's still hurt right now. Mrazek's on the bench.
well, yeah, Mrazek came back from an injury, but Nedeljkovic was playing too good. Gosh almighty. First of all, neutral zone turnover. Second of all, weak goal.
That's
I can't do this.
That's Stock Maple Leafs, Ty. Hey, what was that thing you said about Game 7s, watching them with me?
No matter what, Alex, I can pick the Leafs. I can pick against the Leafs. I cannot pick the Leafs at all. You can be in the room. You don't have to be in the room.
They will lose.
They will lose Game 7. They will find
not
ways
make
to
it past
disappoint.
the first
Is
round.
Steve Dangle's okay? Hold on. I'm not going to play the audio. I'm just going to say is please, for the love of goodness, is he actually doing one right now?
What?
Because Steve Dangle had been doing live.
An entire Dang It episode purely for the Leafs?
It doesn't look like they're live now. He's live now. He was for, at least he did the last game where he did a live stream during the game. And yeah, so Stephen Ellis. Freddie stole Campbell's equipment during the intermission from the looks of it. Yikes. Lukas Weese said this as well. Here's a stat that he has. Teams that score first in a Game 7 win 74.7% of the time.
That's offsides.
Nope, it's onside. Until otherwise, and go. Carey Price, another big save. Oh, no. Carey Price.
What did I tell you? T1000.
Carey Price.
T1000 Carey Price.
Oh, gosh. Playoff Price is scary. Good. I'm tweeting this right now.
Also, shout out to former. Did he play for the Canes? Eric Stahl? No, not.
Yeah, Eric Stahl.
Yeah, Eric
Yep.
Stahl.
Is he even in the lineup tonight?
Yes, he just got an assist on that.
Oh, he got the assist on the goal?
Yeah.
Eric Stahl, Stanley Cup champion, Minnesota Wild legend. I love how you turn to me when you cough. I know I'm fully vaccinated, and so are you, but get out of here. You stop inhaling your food.
No, I don't believe in chewing.
We got about 15 minutes left here on the show, and probably 15 minutes, or probably about 45 minutes until I cry. This is how it has to be. Again, this is my fear the entire day. It's like, and after they scored Game 6, even though I just felt like it was going to happen, the Leafs were going to lose. They're going to come back and lose. I said it, and I was right again. But this is just how it is. It doesn't matter if the Leafs come back from a 3-1 deficit. It doesn't matter if they give up a lead in a series. It doesn't matter if they have a lead in Game 7 or last year, Game 5. They didn't have a lead in Game 5 last year. But if they have a chance to do it, it doesn't matter. They find ways to do this. And Alex, you let's be honest, and I'm glad I had you on here today because you as well know as anyone, this is probably the most Leafs-centric episode that we have done in probably a year and a half. Like, even last year when the Leafs got knocked out by Columbus, I said, early on, because I mentioned this when I was talking with Kyle Bukauskas, early on, yes, we were Leafs favoritisms. We would talk about the Leafs more.
Which is funny because you're like, no.
But we got better. And that is the 100%. And we got a lot better. Like I mentioned Leafs, but there were a couple weeks with you and by myself that we would not even mention the Leafs.
Here's the thing.
Now, granted, it's because we had guests that filled time that didn't talk about the Leafs, but neither here nor there.
Or we had stories to talk about.
Exactly.
But
we've done a good job
here's
about
the thing.
Not being a full Leafs show. But this game is...
Here's the point. When we were early on in the show, we talked about... We both, as people, we don't talk about stuff that we don't know about.
And at that point, at that point, we didn't know what the hell we were doing, but we watched Leafs all the time.
Very rarely do we ever go out of the way of being like, hey, we don't really know a whole lot about this yet. Not a lot of information has been released.
Or at least we mention it. We say, all right, here's what we know. And
then we kind of give like...
That's why if we ever went to
some speculation, a little bit of opinion, not like playing off as it's a fact, but like...
That's why if we went to a touchy subject, we made sure we looked into it.
Absolutely. That like the TikTok thing.
The TikTok thing, when the episode...
As soon as I saw that, especially in a situation like that, I was like...
When the players boycotted during the playoffs last year, Cody Jansen and I talked.
Yeah, it's like we need to make sure that we got this stuff straight. And that's how we've always been. That's why at the beginning of when we started this show 3 years ago now, 4 years ago now.
Nope, 2018. January of 2018, I think we did our first show. February 2018.
3.5 years.
It's been 3 years.
Three.
We've done it in parts of 4 seasons.
Yes.
That we can say. We've done. This is our 4th playoff.
We only talked about the Leafs for majority and the Wings and
anything that was really
that's what we knew.
anything that was really big news. Now it's like,
and that's what we did because
Wixie, quit licking the wall.
she's like, she found like a hole or something, but she just like it's what we knew, so that's what we talked about. And now that we've used this platform not only to like better ourselves, but be able to help other people also on
and talking to a wide range of people.
A simpler level and be able to understand this game and be able to get different viewpoints from different people, because that's a huge thing too. Is you don't always want to listen to the same people over and over again.
I'm trying to think
as
about
far as a specific subject.
I'm trying to think
that's
of what
why
team.
Think about it.
What the heck
Dude,
was
I'm
that? What
feeding
growl?
you.
What was that?
Chill.
What growl was that?
Chill out. I'm feeding you.
These Wixie getting sassy. Listen, I know we're losing, Wix, but calm down.
I haven't eaten any dairy today, so I feel like I'm good.
Sheesh, that's a problem. But
so as I was going, what's more when we talked about during the break. It's easy for us to talk just to each other, and we can give our opinions all we want about this sport and everything.
There's Wixie. You see Wixie's head.
Yeah, see,
she wants the rice.
She wants the rice. She'd really do. I gave her a pea earlier, and she's like, "Oh." But man, is it interesting when we get really good guests on. That's why whenever you have guests on, whenever we had guests on the show, the listens boom through the roof, views boom through the roof.
I'm trying to think of what teams we haven't talked
to personally,
like from someone that
Kraken.
follows
the Kraken.
Sorry, current teams that are playing at this very moment. Calgary.
We haven't talked to the Panthers.
No, I talked to Todd Little. Sorry,
okay,
that's been on,
fine.
Sorry, on the show.
I'll just go on the list.
Calgary and Anaheim.
You have had Anaheim.
Who?
Can't remember his name, but you had him on.
I had John Hoven, the mayor from L.A. I don't think I've had one from the Ducks, though.
Oh, it was Kings. Yeah,
but Kings. I've had Sharks, Eric Johnsgaard, shout out. Haven't had Calgary. Haven't had...
More of the story, we've had a lot of people from a lot of
Washington,
perspectives.
Calgary, Anaheim. I think the only 3 that we've not touched on. Because I've had Dallas, I've had Tampa. Of course, you remember Tampa. We had a couple guys there from SB Nation. Gosh.
We've had quite a few.
Yeah, we've had guests from all around the board. We had Vegas. We've had Colorado. Give a shout out to Eric Pessolano. Eric Pessolano apparently had to have nasal surgery. We've had him on before a couple times. He's the co-host he's the host of the Believe in Habs podcast, but he's been out of commission right now. Oh, it was the same. Oh yeah, Brendan Gallagher scored. Thanks NHL.
No, I was checking for something else.
That's what I got.
So
it's okay.
For a second.
No panic. Our stream's okay. That's really the biggest thing for me is that we have streams on both.
That was almost a goal.
Stop it.
Stay in your net, buddy.
Shots are 15-12 Montreal right now. We got 11:45 to go in the second period. Brendan Gallagher is the lone goal scorer in this hockey game, and the Leafs are getting outplayed in Game 7 again.
And you know what?
I get it. Jake Muzzin's out of the lineup, but you need offense.
If we can, I will take time off during the week if need be. I'll take time off work if need be. But I want to do, if we're able to, I want to get 2 people from the Kraken.
I can call it Fitz. I should give a shout out to Fitzy. Ever Fitzu.
Get Fitzy, because for one, I want his whole perspective on not only what he is and what he represents to this game right now, but just him and the organization being able to build up hype about it, doing these very high quality segments just for YouTube or just for Facebook.
Well, I mentioned on
very high quality, very fun, very diverse amount of content, even for someone who you have very limited access to the arena right now because it's still under construction.
Yeah, the Seattle Storm, the WNBA team, they're playing in Everett.
Yeah, you don't have a lot to talk about as far as players goes because you only have one on your roster right now.
I don't remember which one it is.
Or one part of your that one kid from our Armada.
Oh yeah, right.
Former 5th round pick from the Hurricanes, by the way.
But no, I said
poached. That's poaching. My God.
Adam
Paul
Fox.
Bettman.
And what about Adam Fox?
Don't even.
Adam Fox,
No,
Jimmy Vesey,
No, I'm talking about who's the general manager over there right now.
Ronald H. Francis.
Okay, and where did Ron Francis work before he went to the Kraken?
Raleigh, North Carolina.
Okay, and then what
For the Hartford Whalers, for the Carolina Whalers.
Okay, and then what was
Who picked Ron Francis?
No, Ron Francis picked that guy.
I'm about to say, I'm like, who's
Because
Ron Francis?
hey, I drafted this kid. He's mine. Dibs. Dibs is dibs for it.
I can tell you that the only general manager that was for the Hartford Whalers that I remember is Brian Burke, because he drafted Chris Pronger and he likes to tell that story. That's all I know about. That's as far as I know about the Hartford Whalers. And Pierre McGuire was a coach for a season and a half, and it was the dumbest thing.
Well, yeah, because him drafting Chris Pronger is the best thing he's ever done in his hockey career.
He won a Stanley Cup, dude.
Don't care.
He got the Sedines.
Don't care.
Now, granted, that was the shallowest draft I think we've had in the last 30 years, but
When did Brian Burke win the cup?
07. Yes, it has not
With
been
who?
recently. Anaheim.
Don't care.
As I said, 07. Anyways,
Hey, let me let me just throw something at you real quick.
don't throw anything.
Don't care.
But no, so one point about Seattle, I said a couple weeks ago, I think it was maybe last week.
I'm just
I
giving
said, I'm like,
I'm giving Brian Burke crap.
we're going to do a big episode right before the expansion draft with about the Seattle Kraken, and I don't want to get out to Fitzy now because I want to focus on the playoffs.
I wanted to get two. One with Fitzy just because all of the just the pre-draft stuff.
I just want to talk about
and then,
I just want to talk to Fitzy to talk to Fitzy.
Well, that too. I mean, we can talk about more than just the Kraken.
Detroit
and
won.
then the other.
Here we go. 2-on-1.
And they're still gonna not score.
Austin Matthews gets stopped again. Should have given it to Spezza. Spezza's hot.
Shave your Pablo Escobar beard, you absolute rat. He's greasy.
He is great.
The second one I want to is with whomever is going to be like the new guy on the block for covering the Kraken. I want to bust his chops.
There's somebody that's
I want to bust his chops, and I want him to give me why are the Kraken going to do what the Vegas Golden Knights did in their first year.
I don't know if they'll be that good. But no, I think there's someone.
It's gonna be. For sure. It's gonna be so hard because
there's someone.
All of these teams are gonna be like, we're not making the same
I
mistakes.
think there's someone at the Athletic already over there.
There is, but I don't know his name.
Neither do I. Is it him? I think so.
I don't. You're the guy that I mooched his Athletic subscription off to. Oh yeah, should I say that? I don't know.
Who cares?
Who cares?
You know how people do that? Dude, it's a joke about the net. Everyone's got like someone else's Netflix account or Disney Plus account.
Which they're going to try to cut down on, by the way.
How the heck are you going to do that?
By limiting.
You know what? Don't give me a full explanation.
Well, you're going to limit the number of devices that it's allowed to be on.
Well, they already do that. You can, but here's the thing. It doesn't matter how many accounts you have or how many you're logged into, you mean?
Yeah,
that's the only thing I think of because they have that now where you can only have so many people watch. Like right now, you can only have 3 people watch. Like we're watching this on Hulu Live TV.
Right.
You can only have 3 devices running.
I'm talking logged into. You're only allowed. You're probably going to only have like maybe 3 devices that you're allowed to have logged into. Maybe 4.
That'd be interesting.
It would be interesting.
But we should probably wrap this up. Coming up here in just a few minutes here on 12 Ounce Sports, talking Miners with the Rando.
Talking Miners with the Rando.
Thursday, 6 o'clock. 1-hour show, quick shift edition of the Kula Show. We'll be talking about however this game goes.
Don't expect me to be here.
For better or worse. Well, Alex is the only reason why he's here because I asked him I need someone to suffer this game with.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because Kelly is she's day to day with an upper body.
Incommunicado.
She is day to day with an upper body injury. We'll just say that. We'll go hockey terms on it. But yeah,
she's puking with the hangman.
She's not puking. She is not she's not the biggest puke.
She's hungover. That's what.
Yes,
that's the point.
But yeah, we'll do the show Thursday, talk about this game, and talk about more round 2 action, because at that point, the North Division round 2 between Winnipeg and whoever wins this game will already be underway.
Yes.
Of course, if you couldn't watch the entire episode, that's okay. Be sure to check out the Kula Show YouTube channel for the replay. That'll be up tomorrow. Or if you just want to listen to it while you're driving around, when you're running, heck, if maybe we inspire you when you get those legs moving, when you're running 5 miles, check us out there on your favorite podcatcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, whatever, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, Radio FM. Obviously, we're on SoundCloud because that's where we disperse all the stuff.
I use Apple Podcasts. That's how I listen to this show when I'm running on my elliptical.
Oh, thanks.
Well, not on my elliptical.
I was going to say
Planet Fitness is elliptical.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, no problem. Sometimes I have to make sure to check in to know exactly what you're talking about.
Well,
but Talking about it was Rando. Coming up here on 12 Out Sports. Thank you for watching. I am your former host and now personality, Alex Keel, for the Insider of the Insiders. We will see you next time. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.